take you back. Spitting facts, you gotta live with that. Who got it? Who want it? No problem. Big mobbing. In the city, plenty havoc causing. Do or die, it's either all or nothing. Best believe I'm leaving out with something. Anytime I got the crowd jumping. Throwing raves, you know they fist pumping. I'm the king of dysfunction. What would you do if you had my life? Work like me, had them stripes. Would you go hard just to have that ice? A lot of dudes trying to have that price. Getting yo cooking about to add that spice. Nowadays Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is will you get back up when you fall. You better get up. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I need you to get up. Get up. You witnessing a champ in the making, fueled by your passion for greatness. Yeah, but adversity and bad situations meet us in the middle of the paths that we taking. But it's what you do after that makes men. Will you quit or will you stand up and face it? Tell me, do you have what it takes to swing back when this life asks for the fade? Can you tell me you'll adapt to the change when a punch lands and it puts you flat on your face? After you wake, will you stand up and say, get mad, hit back, lit match to the flames? Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is will you get back up when you fall. You better get up. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I need you to get up. Get up.
Icy boy with diamonds on my frozen soul.
ain't no half stepping. I'm gonna take you back, spitting facts, you gotta live with that. Who got it? Who want it? No problem. We mob it. Who got it? Who want it? No problem. We mob it. Raised in the belly of the beast. There were days where I barely had sleep, but I had to work more than competition. I can't live like the opposition. Living everything I dreamed of, doing everything you think of. The way I work, I'm on the brink of doing everything you dreamed of. Only aim for perfection, ain't no half stepping. I'm gonna take you back, spitting facts, you gotta live with that. Who got it? Who want it? No problem. We mob it. In the city, plenty havoc causing. Do or die, it's either all or nothing. Best believe I'm leaving out with something. Anytime I got the crowd jumping, throwing reds, you know they fist pumping. I'm the king of dysfunction. What would you do if you had my life? Work like me, had them stripes. Would you go hard just to have that ice? Other dudes fell trying to have that price. In a yo, cooking about to add that spice. Nowadays, dudes never had that fight. When the push boom, better burst your pipes.
فعل وبالمخطبوط العراق موجود معانا ليخلص بالفعل تواجد الايسبورت مع
تكسر الوضع تاع اوبا حاليا على خرج لوحده بالصراط
هذا الليد لم يكن في مكان مناسب. سيكتور يا سيكتور يا سيكتور يا سيكتور.
Welcome everybody to another day of the PUBG Mobile PMPL Arabia Fall Split season and the final day of the league portion of this tournament, where we will finally determine the top 16 teams moving over to the finals in a couple of weeks. My name is Imperium, and if you want to join in on the conversation. Go ahead and follow us all on the socials. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, as well as, of course, Instagram and Twitter, and get involved with the hashtag PMPL Arabia. And I'm not alone for this final day of the league portion. I'm joined by the wonderful Monica to take you through all of the action that's coming up today. Monica, are you excited for today's final 5 games?
Man, I was excited watching yesterday too, and Imperium was roasting me in before the broadcast started because I was
Has
watching
to be done.
yesterday. He's like, "Get a life, Monica," because if I'm not casting here, I'm watching you guys also roasting me on stream where I can't really say anything back. So anyway, I am ready for this last day.
Indeed, indeed. Let's go through the standard stuff of the format for across the whole of the PMPL. If this is your first day joining us, where have you been for pretty much the last
Where
three
have you
weeks?
been?
Come on! But either way, you've joined us at one of the more exciting moments of this tournament as we start into week A's, go through the super weekends, and again, these teams are fighting for the finals.
So yeah, super weekend, like you said, last day of this last super weekend. So after today, we're gonna be off for a whole week, guys, because we're going to go into the finals.
Damn.
But of course, the top 16 to see who is going to make it. But here we are. I kind of preluded it right into the calendar.
Yeah, this is it. We've had 3 pretty insane weeks of action. Week 1, week 2, and then this week 3 had 0 breaks. We went from Monday starting
Mm.
to Friday, 5 days non-stop action of PMPL Arabia. And like you alluded to, that kind of week and a half's break before the grand finals going on the 21st to 22nd and the 23rd. The prize pool, of course, is a massive part of the PMPL Arabia full
Oh
split. A
yeah.
grand total of 150 grand up for grabs, Monica.
So the league stages that we're in right now, as long as you're in the top 16, you make finals, right? So I want to see some of
Yes.
these teams utilize this space as, hey, it doesn't really matter if we finish second or 14th, right? It doesn't matter as long as we're in that top 16. I wanted them to utilize this last day to kind of, test some things or really solidify certain spots going into finals. Like, hey, this is our compound, or hey, we do this big split and we take this building. We want to solidify this spot and make sure this other team that lose by us doesn't come near us.
That's a fair kind of attitude to take. You also need to consider that there's the 5 grand up for grabs in today's 5 games, which is certainly an important aspect to put into the fold. That will
Mhm.
involve maybe some teams wanting to play a little bit more cautiously and play for the late game, and that might impact then their ability to kind of learn a little bit extra coming into the finals.
A team that really capitalized on that Imperium yesterday was Skyrocket, right? They just infamously took 3 of the chicken dinners yesterday, which,
Yeah.
by the way, the only team that was holding the record before was 2 chicken dinners in a day, I believe, from GEEKAY. So it was Skyrockets. They're now the record holder for most amount of chicken dinners in one day.
It was such a wild last game, especially roller coaster ending around the lumberyard hills. It's kind of it was just crazy to be in that moment as a commentator. At least you could see me
Yeah,
right at the end of the game, like my hands were up in the air because I was like, I can't believe he actually
I saw
pulled that
that.
out of the bag. It was pretty incredible. Let's take a look at the overall standings coming into today's 5 games and see where these teams lie, right? And obviously the top 8 are somewhat super secure in their overall standings for the finals, but there's certainly some positional placements that can be made up.
I want to really highlight R8. Okay, we see them in the top
Okay.
half here. Yesterday, they started in, I want to say it was 5th place in the overalls, right? They had, even though they didn't, yeah, they started in 5th place with
Yeah, they
259
did.
points. So just yesterday, they got 62 points. Even though
Yeah.
they didn't get any of those chicken dinners, they were super consistent beyond that first game yesterday. They were the worst they did was 5th place with 3 eliminations. Everything else was, second with 9, third with 10, just really, really consistent overall.
Definitely, definitely. It was a solid day for them. And I said coming into this PMPL that I'd like to see uh R8 kind of end the league stage in the middle of the pack. And I do believe that they fundamentally have really learned a lot throughout the league stage in terms of pushing different rotations, pushing different positions, pushing kind of themselves out of comfort zones so that even though they're not doing that well, they're still trying different things for the either end stage of the league or coming into the finals. And yesterday's results were definitely a bit of a product of that. Triple Esports also doing
Yeah.
pretty well across yesterday's Erangel games as well, similar to Skyrocket Esports. But let's take a look at the second page, Monica, because that's where it really all has to go down.
This is where we're starting to get in the danger zone, right? This is the twilight zone, right? Towards this bottom half.
Mm,
Especially, okay, the teams that aren't in this weekend, right? 4K, Rad, they can't even defend themselves right here because they're not playing, they're not gaining any points. So I
yeah.
think 4K they're starting to get a little worried, right? It's starting to get close. Rad is extremely worried. They're on the 16th spot. That's that last ticket to get into the finals.
And they can't do anything about it. That is the thing. They can do zilch, zero, nothing, nada, because they are not participating in this super weekend. The only one, they're in 17th, but it is important that we kind of touch upon them as we look at this second page, because they're on a total of 169 points.
Yes.
They're only 25 points behind Rad. And you look at that and you go, that's 5 points per game. That's achievable. That's possible. Yeah, they should be okay. In 40 games, Monica, 40 games, they have an average of 4.23 points per game. They haven't even hit that average points per game. So
It's like
I'm
the
kind of looking at that and I'm going, I don't think they can get it done.
like the team at the bottom, they can sort of, use the excuse as a clutch that, hey, we didn't make, all the super weekends, we don't have enough points. The only one they can't use that excuse, like you said,
Yeah.
they played every single super weekend match as we look at that very end tail third page of the overalls. But man, 40 matches, 169. And remember, the 193 was Rad right above them, right? So that
Yes.
is, how many points is that? I'm trying to remember
25.
exactly. But
25 they
yeah,
need.
so they need that in one day. Yesterday, they
Yes.
only got 13 points
Yeah.
across all the 5 matches.
Yeah, and even day one, they only got 19. So again,
Man.
like I said, I don't know if they can get it done. For 90th minute, they're clearly in a much harder situation where they require 67 points, which is an average of
Mm,
13.4 per game, and they only have an average of 5 points per game. And then Vista, they need 96 points, and to give them credit, in their only super weekend so far, they have had an average of 9.8 points per game, which is genuinely
yeah.
very solid and deserves an element of respect. But they need 19 points per game. They need 19 points per game in these 5 games. That's
Nine, yeah, I mean, 19 points, that's a lot, right? 19
yeah,
points is, if you don't, if you, I mean, you should get a chicken dinner, right? But if you don't get a chicken dinner, you have to get like second or third, and you have to get at
yeah.
least like 9 eliminations to get to that 19.
Like they got 66 points in day one of this super
Hmm.
weekend. They got 30, I think 32 points
32, yep,
in day
yesterday.
two. So it is definitely going to be very tough. And as far as I know, the the highest point scoring day for any from any of these teams in the super weekend so far has been 83 points. So no team has even gotten that 96 point day. So like you look at GEEKAY, who have been on an absolute stormer over the first couple of weeks minimum. They're the team with the highest point scoring individual day, as far as I know, of 83 points. So I
Hmm.
just look at Vista's mountain, and it's far too steep at this stage.
Vista at the beginning of the weekend, they needed 193 points, right?
Yeah,
And
minimal.
the first day they did what, 66 points?
Yes.
Yesterday they only did 32. So I mean it was doable, right? Like 193
It
maybe in
was.
some miracle of a world if they kept that consistent, like, hey, every day we're going to get, 70 points. Boom boom boom, and that, which is totally doable. Um if they play really really well, but for to have a day at 32 points yesterday and day number 2, that just backtracked their progress from day number 1, and now they're having to get a 95-point minimum day, which is, like you said, hasn't been done yet by any team in this lobby.
And your kind of point that you made at the end of day one, it was even after they hit that massive 35-point
Mhm.
game. The volatility of getting 2 0-point games, I think it was 2-0 or maybe one pointer and 1 0-pointer, but either way, two very low scores in that first day has been their kryptonite. Because in day two, they got a 1, a 4, and a 7. And a 0 with that 20 point in the first game. So the volatility has really hit them in a unfortunately negative way.
I would almost rather be a team like R8, like we mentioned, just every single game pretty consistent.
Yeah,
They're
of
doing,
course.
17 points per game on average or whatever it was, right? I'd rather be a team like that than like SKYROCKETs yesterday, even though they had a really great, I mean, obviously 3 chicken dinners, right? The 2 games that they didn't win, they went out with 2 points only. They went out with I think it was 11th with like 1
2
elimination point,
points
something
in
like
each
that.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, so going into a game like a team like that, I'm like, am I gonna? It's either one end of the extreme or the other. I don't really know how I'm gonna play versus R8, where like, hey, I know like this point, or this game, 17 points. It's more consistent.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I'm also right with the fact that Monster is the official energy drink partner for PUBG Mobile Esports. So thank you to Monster Energy for getting involved in the mobile esports event, as well as a grand banquet that is available in game. Get the ingredients to make more dishes. Let's share and spread our happiness together. And you can even draw for a discount for free every day, up to 70% off on that group discount. So get involved and get counting. As well as that, we have the upcoming PMWI, Monica. The announcement is here.
Ooh.
It is up to you, the viewers, the players, to send your team to the PMWI After Party Showdown from July the 8th to July the 10th. Check out the in-game events calendar to vote for your favorite teams. As well as that, you can use code 2022 PMWI to get one extra voting ticket each day. Stay tuned for more.
I'm seeing a lot of the teams that I follow on socials posting, "Hey,
Yeah.
vote, in game here, vote for us." So definitely, I mean, a lot of people after they watch a tournament like this are like, "Okay, what's next? Like, where is our
Yeah.
favorite team going to play next?" This is the next stage. So PMWI, get your favorite team in there, and we want to see them compete on the global level.
It's kind of like at times, nothing bad against PUBG Mobile Esports, but a tiny bit at times it feels like there's too many events. But then again, you know, I
It's
can
exciting
always
though.
look back on the year and appreciate the amount of amazing, wonderful events that happen that lead up to whether it's the PMWI kind of mid-year or whether it's the PMGC at the end of the year, right? That is exactly what makes PUBG Mobile Esports so amazing, and getting the fans involved in that sense is even better. The schedule for today, getting back to this final day of the PMPL Arabia, is pretty standard. It's pretty typical. Erangel, Miramar, Erangel, Sanhok, and Erangel.
Right. So obviously, Skyrockets, they showed their extreme greatness on Erangel, right? Like we don't really need to talk about them, but Miramar and Sanhok, I think those are really the outliers here, right? It's you only have one of those a day. So the teams that can, I guess it's not quite enough to do well on Miramar, right? Like for example, Conqueror, they won Miramar. We know they can do well on
Yes.
Miramar, but it's just 1 out of the 5 matches in the day. So it's not enough to bank on that. You have to do well on all the other matches, especially Erangel.
And Conquer Rack are a team that I I I laid into pretty heavily yesterday, I will
Mhm.
admit. And not in and I hope for anybody watching it didn't come across in this massively negative way. It genuinely always comes out of knowing that a team is capable of so much better, seeing it happen like Conqueror Rack showed us in the spring split, and I see this full form grace, and I'm kind of baffled as to why it is. I've pointed out some fundamentals, but I laid into them yesterday. You're dead right about their lack of ability to really control Erangel. It's so weak. They make rotational mistakes. They make positional mistakes. They're not even dropping in a bad spot. That kind of power,
No.
that fairy pier area is allows for so many opportunities to rotate. And when you really consider the fact that the majority of the Erangel circles have been around that southwest side, there's so many less excuses as to why CONQUEROR aren't doing that well, not only in Erangel, but of course the whole of the PMPL Arabia so far.
I was gonna touch on that. It's not like they're forced to go rotate from Zarki,
Yeah,
right, and try to get in all these circles.
exactly.
They're right pretty central. If it goes to the military base, which we haven't, I mean, Imperial, we haven't really seen a lot of Sanhok Island
No.
finishes so far, so maybe today, but they do have first entry, right, on that bridge side. And then even, like, a lot of those GEEKAY circles, the teams around them, it's 90th minute to their left, which is a team, you know, down in the bottom, right? That shouldn't be too big of a threat to them,
No.
sort of thing.
No.
And so they, for some reason, they're just really struggling on the southern side, despite having a pretty free entry into a lot of these circles.
I think as we do get into this game one of the day, one small element that could come into play is possibly the fact that they're allowing too many teams from the eastern side to enter the circle cleanly. And even though those teams coming from the east at times have tripped over each other, the teams that do kind of survive are putting more pressure on CONQUEROR later on in the game. So that could be something they could look to adjust and adapt to coming into the finals. But the play path is here for game one of the day, Monica.
You know, actually, as you said that, I was kind of thinking, maybe coming through the southern side of Pochinki is the easiest way to get into those GEEKAY circles, and maybe that's why CONQUEROR is having so many problems. Because for an eastern team such as 4K, such as the only one, right? If they come wide over north, they're going to run into Major Pride. If they come in through this Razak school area, that's GEEKAY, that's NASR, I don't want to mess with them. If they come in through Pochinki, that's NIGMA Galaxy, right? So it kind of looks like the only free-ish entry is just to the south of Pochinki, right where CONQUEROR Iraq is looting. So maybe people are just choosing the easiest route into the circles and are just steamrolling through CONQUEROR Iraq in that way.
That's a fair point, but if you want to be one of the best teams, you got to be able to send the messages of you're not going to get through us, you're not going to get past us, you're going to have to find another way. And as phase one pops up, lo and behold, would you look at that? It's a southwest circle.
All right, I know you guys are calling me evil yesterday just because I like to be entertained, right? Like, I like to see these crazy circles and these just really
Evil.
just this circle ping-ponging around to the absolute horror of the players in the game. So I want to see some crazy, I don't know, just something we haven't seen before, right? Just give it a little extra spice, right? And make this an exciting match.
Especially for the final day of the PMPL Arabia League portion of this tournament. Again, the finals will be coming up in a couple of weeks at the end of the month. GEEKAY looting up Razak and a little bit of Watertown as per normal. Alright, are going for those vehicles on that north side of the river and will most likely end up going towards George Paul. And Major Pride, they might have seen, as a VISTA player to POWR Esports, they might have seen from yesterday's games that SKYROCKETs have gone to Novo, so they were a little bit unconfident about going to that area of the map.
Definitely, I think that it's these kind of last-second changes and drop spots, or they're keeping everybody on their toes, right? We play so much Erangel, usually people can just land in the same spots every time and then rotate that way. But as we do see here, RA, a team that really highlighted as a super consistent team, having CR7 though, Nomi. I mean, that's a player I do not want to caught by myself in a 1v1 against.
Alright, do have what feels like more players around them to support that.
Yes.
And CR7 does get the pick on Nomi in a little bit of a 1v1 coming up the stairs of that building. And look, I kind of don't understand why teams get caught out like this. I kind of don't. Even if I had gone against RA, I'd have the same opinion because I have the same opinion when it comes to this player. I kind of don't get it. Okay.
Wait, so we have Yusuf. They're driven in cars, right? And Falcons, we've seen this do this before, where they can't make it all the way to Yasnaya. They get in the cars and then try to long rotate there. They're going for the vehicles, but now also R8, maybe a little bit too spread out because we had two focusing on Major Pride. Now the other two are caught in the, claws of Falcons, the talons of Falcons, and are left just proning on the side of a hill.
This is really good by Falcons because they heard the shots between Iron and Major Pride. They saw the elimination feed, they would have tracked it, and they thought, wait, this is an opportunity for us to catch a team off guard. This is an opportunity for us to get involved and take advantage of a team separated in this early looting phase. That's some really good awareness from Team Falcons. Well done to whoever made that decision.
Falcons is at the 200-point mark on the standings, right? They are currently in 14th position. They're not really in danger of falling out of that top 16 unless we see, like, the only one 90th minute Vista just have an outstanding day, right? So they're I think, but it definitely does hurt, though, to see yourself, especially a team like Falcons that is such a strong team, sitting in 14th position. So I think it psychologically, I think it messes with your mind.
Oh yeah, like similar to CONQUEROR, to be somewhat just as harsh to Falcons. Yeah, they shouldn't be down this low. They have made a lot of fundamental mistakes in this game. However, compared to CONQUEROR, I do look at Falcons' growth in this tournament in a little bit more of a positive way, because they didn't qualify for the first Super Weekend, but they did qualify for the second and the third. Whereas CONQUEROR, they qualified for the first, but they didn't qualify for the second. So it's kind of like it's been a lot more up and down for CONQUEROR.
Yeah, you always want to see progress, right? As long as it's a upward trend, no matter the slope, is always a good thing. Instead of, like you say, CONQUEROR going up and then just, diving to the bottom, hitting rock bottom to have to try to claw their way back up again. So much volatility. And yeah, this is a team that we know, CONQUEROR, they can play well, and I think it's a little disappointing to us to see them not qualify for the second Super Weekend, and now they are, barely trying to qualify into finals.
And even if you look at what we've just seen on our screens, and I'm not saying the only one are the biggest threat in the world, but CONQUEROR have allowed the only one to go on top of that Ferrer Pier Hill, instantly blocking and slowing down CONQUEROR. It's crazy that they're allowing that to happen.
Oh man, this is a story of NIGMA Galaxy, right? NIGMA Galaxy, they land in a very central position, but they just don't seem to know how to rotate from it to set themselves up in a way that can gatekeep, that can prevent teams from looting on and rotating in. And CONQUEROR kind of same thing on that southern side, and they just sit and they take forever to loot and allow these teams from way further out to rotate past them, and then it's just another hurdle for them to try to overcome.
Triple Esports swinging through this eastern side of the map, going a little bit past a couple of the Vista Gaming players. YALLA still on that north side of the river, coming out of Severny in a bit of a 2-2 split. And RA still looting up around that North George area, clearly delayed by the entanglement with not only Major Pride but Falcon Esports into the early part of the game.
The only one, Luffy, we touched that. This is the team that really has no excuses, right, of being this low in the standings. Because some other teams around them, like Vista, like 90th minute hasn't made it didn't make last Super Weekend. They have less weeks in Super Weekend, but they are still at the very, very bottom.
And Triple Esports pick bit of a free elimination onto the members of NIGMA Galaxy. I found my words eventually. And NIGMA found a rotation eventually, but surprise, surprise, it's a late rotation, and they're not only caught off guard by Triple Esports, but now the only one. It's typical NIGMA. Yeah.
I mean, it's good for, I guess, NIGMA Galaxy that it's only the only one shooting at them. If there was a team like GEEKAY, if just one of those, or even Major Pride. So, oh my goodness. I think he was getting shot. He really didn't want that car to be blown up. So I guess we're not as bad as having that vehicle blown up and then you're just taken straight out the lobby. But he's going to, break a leg and twist his ankle and maybe needs some stitches because he is needing a revive in the middle of the open. And NIGMA Galaxy just, man, putting down to only 2.5 players.
Does anybody know a doctor? Does anybody know a doctor? Phase 2 pops up and does Yeah. It kind of centers up per se. Still a little bit of military island in play, but for the most part, majority mainland circle in phase 2.
We see SKYROCKET. They're the only team still down on the Slavnovka island. We already saw Dorito Thunders, who dropped right into the military base. They saw this first circle. They sent it across the bridges to get on the northern side. We now have GEEKAY and NASR, these two teams that loot right on next to each other in Rozhok in school, doing a drive-by and actually driving right through the likes of Triple Esports with such a congested hill. One elimination found now.
And NASR kind of looked at that and went, wait, there's a migration with like 3 or 4 teams. Let's just turn back around, and they've gone down the hill and onto that kind of compound that's to the south of Chopstick. So I do appreciate the adaptation that came through from NASR Esports off the back of noticing other teams. GEEKAY only lose 1 player. They're continuing, man. They just are keeping on going.
POWR now coming in Triple Esports just in the middle of all the action as Conte able to escape with just a sliver of health and power. I mean, they got the information. They're coming on back this time around. But I just want to highlight, we had Ragnar from GEEKAY lost his life jumping out of the car while it was still in motion, which is the exact same thing that happened to NIGMA Galaxy. Maybe first game jitters or what's going on, or people are just forgetting to buckle their seatbelts.
CONQUEROR now at least doing a half-decent job to control the teams around them in this north of Ferry Pier area. They did get an elimination onto one of the VISTA players early on as they disengaged away, and they have a 3-1 split, so I do appreciate it. GEEKAY, they move away from one team, they walk into another. That's the way a center circle rotation looks when you've already lost a player.
GEEKAY caught off on rotation. 90th minute team that really needs to do that. They actually only got 9 points yesterday when they are needing up in the double digits. So, I mean, if they can get their momentum, that'd be great. But yesterday, they may as well have not played, right? In 5 matches to have only 9 points, that's not even 2 average points per match.
No, it's not. It's not up to scratch. When they technically had a bit of an okay opportunity coming into this super weekend, they have let it squander them. You could say they've definitely been punching above their weight in this super weekend. POWR Esports haven't been one of those teams to punch above their weight. If anything, they've been punching the players around in this lobby. When it goes their way, it goes their way in a big way. And as they look to try and create some separation for Triple Esports and the likes of NASR, it's only going to get tougher in this game.
NASR, one of the teams at the very tippy top of the standings in 5th position, staying a fair distance away from Triple Esports, like POWR, because when you're in the central position here, you don't want to be caught up in a full-on engagement, because look how clustered it is in the center. Anybody could come in for a third party. We're waiting for this net circle to pop on up, though. And I'm waiting for the military base one, but it's not going to happen this time, as we have. I mean, it's right on that quarry area, right where the majority of the teams have already started to migrate.
We've had some clean circle shifts in the first 3 phases. They've been generally pretty centralized, and yeah, kind of a little bit of a shift in one direction. That's certainly natural. Again, clean, clear, under control, and the majority of the teams are inside this phase 3.
Maybe, okay, now that we've had 3 clean circles, right? I'm betting this next one is going to be just insane. Hopefully,
stop it,
but
Monica, stop it!
I'm like waiting. I mean, come on. Everyone in chat is like, yes, let's have some crazy circles. You know, it'd be really exciting to watch. But yeah, I'm just
hashtag cancel Monica.
Hashtag mute Imperium. That's just
wow.
Like hashtag PMPL Arabia, like what other hashtags are we using here? There's so many hashtags going on. Hashtag PMWWI, like coming up. Can't even keep track of it anymore.
WWI, you added
I was like W is like WI, PUBG Mobile World Wide Web Invitational.
Oh my god, Jesus. You're such a boomer. I love the way you were just like, I'm committing to this.
I'm committing to this.
I will find a way out of here.
It's gonna be a hashtag.
But no.
You can post on Twitter, 140 characters. You don't even have room for a caption. It's just hashtags.
Monica just keeps on
Um,
digging a hole. You
um,
just keep on digging, Monica. Keep on digging while Vista will keep on shooting toward the members of Falcon Esports coming in from the southeast off the back of this circle shift. OOREDOO Thunders are also towards the south, and the SKYROCKETs are now making their way across that western bridge.
Finally, this is the time to come in, right? As it's actually pretty good for SKYROCKET because of this huge engagement happening between Vista and Falcon. So nobody is watching this bridge side to prevent SKYROCKET from getting on across the bridge as they just make it across, but right behind OOREDOO Thunders. Hassan though going for the 1 versus 1, but easy getting damaged with the Molotov as OOREDOO Thunders. The rest of them need to converge in if they want to save their teammate.
A little bit of friendly fire. However, I really appreciate that from SKYROCKET, and OOREDOO Thunders made a massive mistake. In the previous circle, it looked like they were kind of holding on to a bit of a bridge camp, which is great. But in this circle, you got to make a decision of either going for a full bridge camp or a full disengagement. You can't really half-ass it in this phase 3. SKYROCKET's pushed in as a full squad and took the advantage, but now their attention turned over towards the members of Falcons. Triple R plays it in, 1 knock, 2 knock, and another knock potentially ensuing as Falcons are down to just 1 player.
Man, SKYROCKET, they're keeping the ball rolling from what they started yesterday with 3 chicken dinners on Erangel and Imperium. I was ready for this circle, and it goes all the way over to that western side. We have a lot of mountainous ridges to play in, and not a whole lot of hardcover or compounds at all.
There's a few more than it initially looks, as Rip is going to get caught off guard with the nade in his hand, as Yusef still plays inside the warehouse, is forced to pull out a first aid, as is Salam on the other side. You do still have Easy a little bit further back, but across the road, so unlikely to be able to get over to that. Pre-nade being cooked up as Yusef will hear the vehicle sound, and he low balls it in, hoping that the player from SKYROCKET Esports is pushing forward. Triple R pushes in to try and support his team, but Yusef does get a couple of shots on board. Now in comes Easy, as it's a full squad of SKYROCKETs trying to send in and find the final player of Falcons. Yes, he can. Yusef, he's down to a sliver of health. He goes down.
Yeah, I was a little scared for Easy because he did push up by himself into the warehouse. I was saying, man, that's, you know, really forcing the 1 versus 1. But fortunately, his teammate was there to clean it on up. Out goes Falcons first out of the lobby. GEEKAY, though, they haven't seen, you know, they lost Ragnar right at the beginning. They're still trying to recover from it, but at least they're against Major Pride with only 1 player left up. So, I mean, he's just trying to find anywhere to hide right now in Imperium because there's not a lot of fragging power by the likes of only 1 of Major Pride.
And again, to kind of go back, there is a little bit more hardcover than it somewhat initially looks, but you're kind of very committed to it because of the amount of ridges and mountains that are in between those compounds. So it is kind of very, you know, you commit to one area and you hope the next circle goes in your favor.
Everyone is begging for the circle to go into their favor, and something that Vista is begging for is a little bit of mercy from SKYROCKET. We have 1 cut out by himself, leading on out with only 1 still left alive. But Triple Esports, I mean, they're going to need to defend from POWR as they ascend into their building.
Down goes Major Pride, and it seems like it's going to be Triple Esports. The follow suit of Haji goes for the drop shot, connects, and that's another squad down. We are 13 teams left coming into the tail end of phase 4.
Beautifully fought in the compounds as we come now on to GEEKAY Esports. They're right in the middle, right? And they're watching OOREDOO Thunders. Remember, you called them out for keeping 1 eye on the bridge, 1 eye on trying to get in, and maybe that couple seconds of just being unsure what to do was how they were caught out by SKYROCKETs and allowing them completely free access across the bridge. R8, though, this fight is not over yet now because R8 has now crashed onto the compound where POWR did take out Triple Esports just before.
Whoever wins this will have to still make it into the edge of the circle. And yes, they might just make it in, but RTG are on top of that hill a little bit further and waiting. I'm a little bit surprised that they're not trying to get involved in an earlier third-party opportunity, because that certainly could work in their favor. But in a 2-2 split right now, it seems like they're trying to focus a bit more on this next circle shift that's incoming.
Yeah, they could have maybe come in 30 seconds before while they were still fighting, right? You had multiple members of POWR knocked from their engagement against Triple Esports. Everyone keeping an eye on this circle, though. Imperium as it to the opposite side, this time on the northeast. Okay, so R8, Power, delighted with this one. Road to Glory, really happy with this one, but teams on the outskirts like CONQUEROR, like YALLA, they've got a ways to rotate to get in.
You can't play this heavy of a split at this stage on this circle shift, in my opinion. RTG, there's a massive risk going for kind of what is essentially a 2-1-1 split. Yeah, Vault might be able to support J9, but again, if a team crashes in, you're going to be outnumbered, outweighed, outpowered, and it's going to be a player picked off one by one. YALLA getting a knock onto one of the player of NASR Esports down in the southern edge of this circle. 90th minute, having to disengage from this compound down on the south side of the Ferry Pier area of the map. Across the road, are going to have to go onto the hillside. SKYROCKETs are close by to them.
NIGMA Galaxy hearing the vehicles, hearing the craft come out from the only one, as Alucia's pushing up this time once again, but there's somebody behind the door. They're pushing on together, and Freak is the one to have the opening knock here is the only one left on his feet. 90th minute though, coming and joining on in, Imperium.
Oh my lord! The compound on the southwestern edge of the circle is absolutely wild for action as 90th minute pick the perfect opportunity to make a crash, make a third party, and that's going to leave NIGMA Galaxy down to just one player unless they can get the revive. Never mind the fact that there's a potential fourth party in the form of possibly SKYROCKETs, even OOREDOO Thunders. This is a haven for action, Monica.
90th minute, great crash from them, especially with no information. They came in from the Ferry Pier area, so they have no idea what's going on here. NIGMA Galaxy, you can hear the footsteps right on their bike, throws the grenade in just a little bit wide as Hamidi still clinging on for dear life.
That was great for the only one because their days were very much looking numbered, but they've been able to get a revive to stick up as a two-person team. Luffy on the other side. Sorry, as a three-person team, my apologies. They do end up getting the better SKYROCKET. Good job indeed for the only one. Drop the 3 eliminations, and remember, they need an average of 5 points per game with 3 eliminations and up to a minimum of top 10. They are on target to reach it at least in this game 1.
That's a tall glass to fill, a tall task to ask for as 90th minute, 4 eliminations found, but losing 1 already is going to debilitate them as we see Power go out in 10th position. We still have all these teams here, and Imperium, they're barely in this circle, and we still have a lot of these teams that somebody needs to win this compound, somebody needs to win it fast.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to get evicted. Nobody wants to hand in their notice. They're all fighting or crawling for it as NIGMA Galaxy's final player is going to come in, and down goes the only one eliminated at the hands of both 90th minute and NIGMA Galaxy together. Double, trouble, boil and bubble, Tam X chucks in an aid, looking for the final player in NIGMA Galaxy as the next circle has shifted away from these two teams.
All right, Hamidi won against the world 90th minute, though they're looking to storm the beaches and clear out this and give the eviction notice letter. But, I mean, 90th minute,
no
and
way.
it's a drop shot.
No way,
no
Odie.
way.
No way.
Come on, come on.
Oh, so close, but it's the S12K to get rid of NIGMA Galaxy. 90th minute survive, but how much damage has been given to them? They're running out of time. The Phase 6 Blue Zone is having to close in, but what a valiant effort from Hamodi.
Modi, I mean, NIGMA Galaxy does this all the time when they're by themselves, pulling out the craziest 1v2s and 1v3s, but it wasn't enough this time as OOREDOO Thunders turning their sights onto Road to Glory. But I mean, that circle for the second consecutive time up in that northeast corner as everyone on that southern western side is left spinning their wheels, trying to make the biggest rotation of the century.
And OOREDOO Thunders Day earlier on, a couple of minutes ago, had gotten a couple of knocks onto the members of RTG. The revives came through and they sent them back. But OOREDOO Thunders need to focus on CONQUEROR. Rio sends it around. GEEKAY, the final player. Gates is still alive, coming in on the backside through the southern edge of the hillside. You can see that he has a lot of information in front of him, but he's on his own. Little support as YALLA are getting pushed upon by CONQUEROR. Bombas not safe is on his own, and CONQUEROR looking for another elimination, but they can't find it. They're still alive. YALLA's still going strong, and Reva's on a sliver of health.
When in doubt, use your cars and get a quick knock. But, I mean, safe. He's still able to stay up here. Reva, though, I mean, he's got the grenade. He wants a little redemption for the rest of his team. And the nade is good. Goes for the flush. but Safe still unalive, but Conqueror, they're finally getting out in 7th position.
90th minute had 2 players strong. They push it in towards the southwestern edge of the hill, came into the circle and get the finishing blow onto the final player, GEEKAY. But now RTG, the 4-man team, looking in his direction, and there's nothing Cholo can do but still a top 5 finish for 90th minute with 7 eliminations.
Road to Glory did so good. They had that huge split about a circle and a half ago, and we said, you know, you can't hold that big of a split in this end circle, so they converged, and now our 4 independent players just taking down everybody on their side, and suddenly Imperium, we're down to 4 teams. Road to Glory, they're kings of the hills now. Everyone else looking to ascend as the grenade from Safe does take out Aredo Thunder.
That's going to leave us with 3 teams, a full squad of RTG, a 3-person team of R8, and the solo player from YALLA still alive. Road to Glory, they got to make this full squad count. They have the southern edge of this hillside they can wrap around, but in my opinion, they're allowing R8 to get a little bit of an advantage, a little bit of a stranglehold in this engagement.
R8, we saw such consistency come out from them yesterday, right? Having such great games. R8 though, but they're on the wrong side of this hill, and Road to Glory is looking to capitalize as they prevent them from getting in. We still have that solo from YALLA, like you said, and he could play a huge factor of turning this fight into either side's hands.
Despite the shots in the R8, I still look at us at R8 as having a better position because they have the low ground, and because it's a harsh hillside right in front, they're able to peek and shoot, and those shots in their direction will give them a lot of clean information. RTG are on the swivel though. They're fully aware of the potential head peaks coming through, and they are ready to shoot at them whenever they come through.
Road to Glory revving the engines though, but I mean, we haven't seen a lot of action yet as everyone is staying quiet, right? They're waiting for this next circle to see where it's going to force them to go. And YALLA, he's creeping a little bit close to the action right in the middle. I mean, this might be a hard, you know, between a rock and a hard place that is Road to Glory and R8, but we're just waiting here, Imperium, waiting for somebody to make the first move.
Because there's been so little action on this western edge of the circle, RTG might be a bit presumptuous in thinking that it's clear. And there's a crate drop right in front of YALLA. Saif, who is the final player alive, and that crate is inside the circle. The thing is, R8 are covering that northwestern side. They're not really allowing YALLA Safe to push in. The thing is, in the middle, he might be the piggy in the middle, but that piggy might come abiding, might come yonking in the very tail end of this result. RTG not looking in his direction, fully focusing on R8 down the hill as a nade is chucked out by Unknown. Does not connect, but will look to try and suppress R8.
YALLA has the sights on Vol, but I mean, he knows if he takes the knock here, he's going to garner all the attention from everybody in this lobby. The nade found onto R8. It took a little nick of damage, but I mean, R8, they're all stuck in the same position just behind this hill, behind this little bit of a tree. So Road to Glory, you see Unknown being sent out wide on the flank to have this angle on the right-hand side as R8 may be forced to come on up.
The circle shifted up north in the favor, technically, towards R8, but because Unknown has pushed in on that southwestern edge into the circle, that does create an opening. And Nabo with the nade knocks down Prestige. R8 are down to 2, and Road to Glory are very much aware of that. The push comes in, pre-nade towards RTG is quite positive for R8 in looking to slow down RTG again. Safe is still alive for YALLA Esports, and as RTG are looking to control, he's going to have a little bit of space to move down. The smokes is going to give him a little bit of cover. He gets a knock onto one of the players of RTG, but now Nabo throws down, stands up, looks for one, looks for 2, gets the 2-piece. All right, down to just a solo. CR7 looking to hang on inside the smoke. It will cover his position, it will cover his vision, but it doesn't cover the bullets. And Saif is going to stand up, stand tall. It's 1v2, but RTG, they deal with it, and they grab a chicken dinner.
Perfectly played from Road to Glory, keeping all 4 up at the very, very end. And I want to shout out YALLA. he was a solo, but still made it out in the second place position. So he played that a late game perfectly, right? He just waited for Road to Glory to steamroll through R8 and then came at the last second, like, hey, I'm just gonna go for it, right? But being concerted enough, being patient enough to secure the second place.
Road to Glory, a very positive result, and there were certainly one or two shaky moments when they were a little bit slower to reform as a full squad. And again, I noticed that at one point they had a minimum of one player knocked. I think, if anything, two at the hands of OOREDOO Thunder. Fortunately for them, OOREDOO Thunders were a little bit too far away to really get that push, or they simply didn't feel confident enough of pushing on those knocks because of the amount of teams left alive. So the revives were able to come through, and RTG were given that second chance to control the game, and indeed they did.
I'm wondering if Road to Glory new is a 3v1v4, because to them, all they can see is 8 players left in lobby. It could have potentially, they could have thought maybe
That's
it's still
true.
a 4v4. So they weren't expecting the soul to come out the side as we look at that match rankings. But despite Road to Glory getting the chicken dinner, only 6 eliminations found. So only a 21-point chicken dinner.
It's a very Sanhok-esque result when you look at the points gathered. The eliminations are very much spread out across a number of teams. I'm impressed with 90th minute. Could this be the glory day for 90th minute? They're coming into this day needing a minimum of 13.4 points per game. They've just, and I mean just about hit that in this first game. Look. I'm trying not to say they're gonna do it, but I also want to recognize that they've given themselves a chance. Just about.
Look, 90th minute got 13 points that last match, right? Yesterday in 5 matches, they only got 9 points. So they've already topped their entire day's performance from yesterday. But I mean, they still have, I mean, they needed 66 points at the end of today. They've gotten their 13. So they still need a lot more points for the rest of the 4 matches today.
When you look at the only one who needs 5 points per game, they only got 4. So at the moment, I know it's only 1 game today, but you look at the 2 teams and you go, 90th minute could do a little bit more than the only one at this stage.
A team that really needs to do a hell of a lot more is going to be VISTA Gaming, right? They needed at least 95 points to catch up.
Monica.
But I'm still okay. This is my usually I look at the glass half empty. This is my I am looking at this glass over pouring. VISTA, I mean 94 points. Can they do it in 4 matches?
That isn't happening. Like yes,
we love an underdog
technically, mathematically, it's still possible, because if it's, let's say, 94 points over 4 games, that's an average of 23 points per game. So mathematically, that's possible. But that requires them winning every single one of the final 4 games with
they can do it.
A minimum of like 9 eliminations per chicken dinner. Like, yeah, okay, they've hit a 35-point game. That was only once.
They could do it. It's I mean, like you said, it's an improbable possibility, right? It's probably not going to happen, but
yes.
I mean, we've seen some teams in other regions, and this region as well, just have some crazy, when their backs are to a wall and they have nothing left to lose. We've seen either teams crumble from the pressure, or they just play just outstandingly above their caliber.
And again, I said this with Highland Wolf, they can't, and they really shouldn't be disappointed with their end result, presuming they don't make it, because I think, considering they only qualified for 1 Super Weekend, they have had good averages, and they did capture a lot of hearts in that first day with the 66 points that they got. Do they need to learn to adapt quicker to events? Yes, 100%. But I also know that it was very tough for them coming into this tournament, and they just just didn't hit the mark enough for the weeks to get the points required. I'm very confident in saying that if they had to qualify for the second Super Weekend, I believe they would be in the finals. That's the way the cookie crumbles, Monica. They just didn't do it.
They just didn't. Well, let's say if the cookie is crumbling, that probably meant you overbaked it, right? So they overbaked their cookies. Way too many minutes, not enough butter, right? So I mean, I'm hoping they can make something of those, dried up cookies for this weekend. But yeah, it's
Um,
a lot to do for just 4 more matches to go.
Oh man, it's tough. It's tough. But then again, as much as we do highlight that like the super weekends are important, getting into them is certainly true. You also can't afford to squander them, and a team that unfortunately, and I hate to kind of highlight them in somewhat of a negative way, we have to call it as we see it. Team that squandered those super weekend opportunities has been the only one.
Yeah, they what one of the only teams at the very bottom out of the top 16 that has made every single super weekend,
Yeah.
yet are still just barely above certain teams. Like they're just barely above what is it, 90th minute, who hasn't
Yeah.
made all of them, right? And the points are almost the same.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? They might just have to get involved with the grand banquet event to find our form once again. You can, of course, get the ingredients to make more dishes. Let's share and spread our happiness together, as well as you can draw for a discount, a group discount up to 70% off for the grand banquet event. And thank you for supporting all of these amazing events that are in the PUBG Mobile game. We're getting into the second game of the day. Let's have a quick look at the overall standings before we get into it, Monica.
All right, top half pretty solidified, right? Like we have these teams that obviously these teams they've already booked their ticket in the finals, right? They've performed well across all the super weekends, 41 matches. All of these teams here have made every single super weekend, so they're just playing for, hey, can we get that chicken dinner? Can we get that 1K prize that is available
Yeah,
this last day?
exactly. And for bragging rights, there are a couple of positions up for grabs between kind of like second and sixth
Hmm.
to an extent, but you are right. They're all good in terms of the finals. Let's take a look at the second page as well to get a bit of an oversight. Road to Glory now finally moving ahead of Twisted Minds in the overall standings after an extra 11 games. They're up to 265.
All right, just to remind you guys, 4K Rad, they're not in for this weekend, so they can't even defend themselves in terms of points. Rad just really feeling the pressure. And if I was someone like Rad, right? Like I'm not competing, I'm not adding any points. I'm hoping everyone above me from first to 15th place is gonna soak up all the points in the remaining 4 matches and prevent any points to be given to the only one, 90th minute and Vista Gaming.
The only one up to 173 points, Monica. That
Mm.
means that they need 21 points in 4 games. That means they need a minimum of 5.25 points per game. It has been increased after this first game of the day. Will Miramar fare better for them?
I'm really hoping so, because as much as we like to be very hypercritical of the top teams, we take to show a little love for the teams at the bottom and hope they have a bit of a comeback story, because that's really exciting, right? Seeing the growth of a region, seeing these teams being able to start off a certain way in the tournament and really end on a high note.
And that's the thing. I will be a lot happier to see the only one make it if they can get 2 good results today. If they
Mm.
splutter their way past Rad, I'm going to be a little bit harsher on their ability to make it into the finals. Yes, it will be technically deserved to have made it into the finals because they qualified for the Super Weekend and they are here, etc., etc. But in terms of again squandering and not adapting, there is that element of harshness that comes into play for the only one that worries me greatly coming into the finals compared to Rad.
Maybe a team though that is, I take this to the next level. So stick with me. So if we have a team that maybe would rather have the only one in the finals versus a team like Rad, right? Maybe they'll do a little, hey, we know that the only one drops in a certain way, or they like to take this compound. We're gonna kind of stay clear of them, allow them to get as many points as possible to allow that maybe they would come into the finals. Because honestly, if I had to pick between two teams to fight, I'd rather fight against the only one versus Rad because clearly, like they don't have as much fragging power as a team like Rad.
Yeah, definitely. NIGMA Galaxy dropping in on Pozo. Pretty standard stuff for this Miramar game indeed. Phase 1 has popped up. It's gone quite heavily northeast, encapsulates a lot of the Junkyard, Minas Hillside, El Azahar, Cruz of Val, and water treatment if you're opting to go towards the northwest.
OOREDOO Thunders, they saw that northeastern circle, immediately get in their cars and try to rotate through, but oh no, it's gonna be all going wrong for them as they were caught right out in the field. No hard cover, he just ejected himself as they find NASR, but fortunate knock on the NASR with the Scar out of the car, and it's gonna be Batika to try to defend himself by himself.
Okay, this is pretty wild. Unexpected engagement between these two teams. Batika is going to get knocked down as Sama gets a little bit of a revenge in that regard. And even though NASR are normally better at defending these, because OOREDOO Thunders rotated as a full squad and they dropped as a full squad, they've come out on top. So I kind of really appreciate that OOREDOO Thunders.
This is the plane path was so far on that northwestern edge that these teams who usually land in La Bonita, like up towards the Los Leones area, couldn't make it all the way there. So they were just caught going their vehicles, caught with almost no weapon at all, and then trying to just have this really just in-game or early game RNG type of fight. That was very unfortunate for a team like NASR. But I mean, OOREDOO Thunder is gonna say thank you very much for those 2 early game elims.
Indeed. Take that one right in the back pocket. 90th minute are going to have to, suppose, within reason, do something similar in this second game of the day. They've kept their hopes and dreams alive in the massive mountain that they have coming into this final game of the day. Over 13 points per game required to topple Rad, as well as the only one. They got it in the first game.
So they need to do what they did the first game and just do it better, right? And just keep trying to get as many points as possible. I mean, 90th minute, though, for a team to only get, what did I say, 9 points in one day? That's just, oh man, it's just heartbreaking, right? That's just like, please just don't show us on camera because we just didn't have a great game yesterday. And today, I mean, this is waiting till the last second, or I guess the 90th minute, to finally show up.
I like that, actually. Yeah, I do like that. A bit of a replay, by the way, of what happened with OOREDOO Thunders.
Wait, this happened again?
Now, all 4 players in the vehicle, I don't normally agree with. But again, very early on, I technically agree with it because it meant they were still together as a full squad. 90th minute, get a bit of an elimination onto one of the players in Major Pride coming in from that western edge of the circle, and an unexpected early rotation from 90th minute caught Major Pride off guard.
This is actually the second game in a row that Major Pride has lost one right at the very beginning. Do you remember this happened in Erangel just now? So every time, I mean, Major Pride might as well just start every match with 3 players because they've only had experience and practice today playing as a 3-man since the very first couple of minutes of the match.
Let's see if RTG can put the nail in the coffin of VISTA. They've already picked up one elimination. It was technically traded. I'm sorry, not an elimination, but a knock. It was traded with a confirmed elimination at the hands of RTG. Vault does shoot up towards Trofka of VISTA Gaming. You have Eagle, it goes flying.
Goes flying indeed. Golden Murado up into the sky as Road to Glory. They won the last match, so they're having the confidence and the momentum to take this fight, especially like the team from VISTA. They might not have the information. This is indeed Vista, but after seeing that Golden Marauder, that's a huge identifier, right? They are thinking, which team goes to Hacienda? More than likely, this is Vista that we're fighting as we get another knock and trying to find another one on this hillside, but Vista's using the hillsides to their advantage, staying down low and having to force Road to Glory to come on over the top to try to shoot at him.
And now Vista Gaming, I'm just keeping an eye on they're looking for a bit of a turnaround against RTG, and they've somewhat found it. Two of the Vista players are knocked. They are slowly wilting away. Unknown, as far as I know, he's the final player alive for RTG. The winners of the first game of the day about to go down in the second one, but can Unknown clutch it up. He tries to prone down. Can't do it, and Vista survive.
We talked about teams that ping pong up and down, right? That we are, but before we can get that, let's just take a quick look, replay that first knock that came out from this engagement that had Vista as the victors. But this team, Road to Glory, their momentum has been halted now. After getting a win in the first match, going out very, very first this match, now they're gonna have to spend 35 minutes waiting for the next match number 3, Erangel, to show on up. It's definitely gonna stall their momentum that they got from the first match.
NIGMA Galaxy disengaging away from El Pozo. They have an easy initial path line going on that main road in between El Pozo and San Martin. They can then send it a little bit up towards the northwest and put themselves on top of the west water treatment hill and get some early scouting done. As you correctly pointed out, Major Pride, second game in a row, they've lost a player very early on, and in Miramar especially, that's a lot harder to deal with.
This is the team that we know can frag out, right? This is a really strong gun skill team. I mean, they have been able to do a lot, even with 2 players, even with 1 players, right? But they're just digging themselves a deeper hole to try to win out the match, if they even still can with only 3 players. And right now, they're not taking the full 4v4. They're playing a little bit more passive, right? With only 3 players, that's just 1 extra angle, 1 extra shooter that is not going to be utilized in a fight.
I spent the longest time, and I'm so glad it's panned over to the map stream as you get into phase 2, wondering where 90th minute were, because I couldn't see them. They're all the way over on the very north side of the map in Torreal Matters. So they went very wide on that rotation from phase 1, and unfortunately for them, phase 2 shifts down southeast.
I mean, when you look like a circle like this, you're kind of expected it to come back inland into the central position when it's on such an extreme corner of the map like this. So for them to go all the way up on that northern side, they're really trying to just avoid everybody for 80% of the match and then come into the end and try to keep all 4 players up alive. So, I mean, they're, if they are able to make it to the late game here, I'm expecting them to have higher replacement points, but pretty low elimination point. Because right here, they're just social distancing. They're just staying as far away as possible from everyone in the lobby.
Indeed, Monica. What's kind of one of your favorite finishing areas on the circles of Miramar? Would you have a bit of a top 3?
I really like that. What do you call it? That beach, that field just to the east side of Al Azahar. You know what I'm talking about? Sometimes it lands over there because there's a huge cliff that people in the huge mountains that everyone's looking down, and then everyone caught on the bottom side is just kind of playing under some rocks. But it's just such a volatile terrain that it just makes it a very exciting late game finish.
Okay. I like it. It's not the typical kind of city finish answer, so it's nice to see something a bit different as a preference, especially in this kind of circle. For me, I really love, and even though it's much further south on this phase 2, I really love the compound and the roadside that's to the southeast of La Bandita. Southeast of La Bandita, basically in between La Bandita and Impala. That area of the map I absolutely love when the circle finishes, because it's so tricky with the open field, but then you have the side of the road that can come into play in that compound. It always adds to a lot of the excitement. Just like the only one are adding to the excitement in this game too. Very much need all the elimination points that they can get their hands on, Monica.
1 found so far, but they're gonna need so many more of that. Triple Esports, a team that's kind of right in the middle of the pack for the overall standing. So it doesn't really, I guess losing a player here, it's not as much pressure as say if the only one were to lose one, right? Because they're just playing to stay in the middle pack. There's no chance of them not qualifying for the finals. So they're just going for the 1K prize money if they can get a chicken dinner. Like GEEKAY, they had some glorious moments last week, but I haven't really seen. It just seems like GEEKAY is just kind of going through the motions of the matches. I haven't really seen them play as we know how GEEKAY can play.
Day one was good for them. They got 53 points in day one of this super weekend. But yesterday was a goner. They only got 19 points in the 5 games.
Really?
You're right though. Yeah, it was kind of wild. Like when I saw it, I was like, whoa, okay, that was a weird day. But again, they have nothing to lose. Even their lead in the top is so comfortable that they can afford to have those 19-point games, right? It doesn't really per se matter for them.
I think when you set the bar so high, anything below that is just, oh, they're performing so badly, you know, even though for a lesser team, like the only one, like 93, they're praying for a game like that, which would be just an average day for GEEKAY. Circle does come in center up though, Imperium, and this is one of those easy kind of fluid circles you're looking at.
Yeah, I love it. A lot of high ground to control. You have the Minas hillside, you have the Junkyard hillside. It's going to be difficult because I think a little bit like the previous game, they're kind of pockets of hillside, and if you try to leave it too late to go from one to the other or go rotate in towards one of the hillsides, you're going to be pinching between a couple of teams, and that could see the end of days for you in this game too.
Falcons, a team that we're pretty shocked at how low they are in the standings, and we highlighted this from the last match. It must be a little bit mentally exhausting for them to be, hey, we know we can perform well, but something is not clicking in the super weekends, so we're not getting the points that, you know, we see them in the league plays where I get a chicken dinner, get a massive game, and they're sitting at the very, very top, only to come to super weekend and just average very few points in the game. So I want to see a little bit more from them. For now, they have that northeastern side of the circle right by Al Azahar, pretty in the open, pretty clear for them. So maybe they can make something a little bit better of this match.
One positive about Falcons, as Lord gets some beautiful SLR shots into Yusuf. One positive about Falcons, and I'm sure they're hoping that it comes to fruition again this time around, is in the spring split, they didn't exactly perform massively well during the kind of league portion of the save, but when it came to the finals and then the equivalent MEA championships later on, they performed extremely well. So maybe they're the kind of team that understand the importance of playing this long game, not giving all the gusto in the super weekends and league stage, and then waiting for the finals to really stand up and surprise a good few of these teams.
I've seen teams, especially in other, I say other regions because this is my first time seeing this region, but that they really sandbag themselves, right, for the majority of the tournament until the final, because they want to keep it secret, right? They don't want to, hey, we thought of this insane split and we use it on day one of league play, and then everybody has weeks to analyze and hyper analyze and copyright everything that you did. So maybe Falcons is just, you know, playing well below their level so they can soar in finals.
I generally call it the Nova effect because they have done it 2 years in a row in the PMGC, right? And I think some teams deserve to have that name put upon them, such as NIGMA. However, others, I don't think they maybe have proved that as heavily. So who will be the next team to deserve, per se, the Nova effect name given to them? We'll have to wait and see for the finals, as the next circle has popped up. Once again, quite centralized, Monica.
Centralized is to be GEEKAY laughing in their little only compound in the center of the circle. SKYROCKET, though, a little bit too split up. We saw one in the miniature map, a little bit too up close towards VISTA, as Salam pays it right back to Raouf. But Hamidi, I mean, there's casualties on either side, but VISTA, they're on the bad part of this hill, way down below NIGMA Galaxy, and they still need to rotate around them to get into the central ship.
They're ahead of them in the circle, right? And NIGMA
Yeah.
are distracted now by this current SKYROCKET fight. So for me, VISTA Gaming not looking too bad, at least in terms of having Sunrise already on the edge of the circle. Another knock goes against NIGMA Galaxy. SKYROCKET Esports, it's hard to stop them, right? They are such a strong team in this third Super Weekend.
And they just really fueled themselves, maybe a case of Monster each, right? As we now see NIGMA Galaxy maybe too committed in trying to flush out SKYROCKET below, because now it's going to be Falcons that come up on their bottom hand side, never alone going down to the likes of Freak and immediately going for that flush.
SKYROCKET somewhat going in blind, and although they would have heard the shots for a potential third-party opportunity, you got to make sure that you have your head on the swivel in the right way as a team if you're going to swing in that direction. It wasn't the case. They lose a player instantly. They are going to be able to technically respond with SKYROCKETs to finish the job off, and NIGMA go down in an unfortunate pinch of glory between SKYROCKET and Falcons.
It was like a snake trying to eat a prey while a bigger snake is already starting to eat on their tail, and NIGMA Galaxy just couldn't stay alive, having too many teams around them, picking them off one by one. 90th minute, a team that needs to have a big day today to even try to qualify for finals, now having one knockdown in this compound. They're outside the circle, and the entire team of POWR and soon to be Major Pride looking down at them.
90th minute. They put all their eggs in the one basket of that phase 1 position all the way in Torre Almada, right? They were like, look, we're going to play passive on the north. Technically, that's okay, but again, you're putting all your eggs in the basket of the circle kind of staying in north because it went more heavily down the southeast. It made that rotation in phase 2, and then in phase 3, phase 4, it's just so much more difficult.
It was so painful to watch because this is a team that we saw them rotate so far up. Their game strategy was avoid everybody until the late game, and they were one of the first teams caught out of the match already, going out in a 13th, 14th position, almost 0 points found. So that passive mentality and playstyle is not going to work in a lobby like this when we have teams like Falcons, like Major Pride, like GEEKAY just playing as aggressive as possible.
Never mind the fact that fundamentally as VISTA Gaming get their own shots on the Falcons. If you want to play an edge style game, you got to be able to know when to turn up the heat, turn up the aggression, and get dangerous in this game. And if you leave it too late, what happened to 90th minute is what is going to happen to you. But phase 5 shifts massively down south, away from GEEKAY's compound. The SKYROCKET Esports are eliminated, and a little bit towards the only one, the best they could have asked for.
It's definitely that northern crunch that's proving disastrous for these teams because the circle has gone on the southern side. Yusuf now found out by the side of Major Pride. Major Pride, I mean, they're down to 3, right? But they're still going after every single elimination. 2 found so far, still on the northern side, as they still have quite the journey to make to get into this next phase.
It's a right play style to do as well, in my opinion, because, again, if you're on that kind of edge of kind of phase 3, phase 4, you're playing a dangerous game and relying on the circle shifting towards you. So getting a bit aggressive a bit earlier on, like Major Pride are doing, you're creating that space. You're giving yourself the best opportunity as they get rid of Falcons. Now they're going to have to deal with the rest of VISTA Gaming. They got an initial knock that could allow them to revive Frozen, but it seems like Milky Way is just going to let Frozen go down.
I think it says, oh, Milky Way tried to soar for the galaxies, but landing amongst just a black hole that is going to put them in the grave. I think it's only one player left now, POWR Esports as well, stuck in this little bit of a dip with YALLA keeping them from getting in. It's once again, it's Saif, last one from his team, as he's trying to get the toes of POWR. Only one left from his team.
At least I know now why Milky Way is called Milky Way, right? He's gonna try and reach up into the sky and get up into the Milky Way galaxy up in space as YALLA go down. 18th left, 22 players alive, and this is very positive for the only one. They are up to 3 eliminations. They have the southeastern side of the circle, a beautiful 2-2 spread either side of the road, and teams are crumbling all around them. Like you said, Monica, that northern migration is so difficult and so good for the only one.
Especially when you're on this circle and it comes away from you, you want to be on the clearer side, right? You don't want to be on, like, especially this side on the northern side, right? We got R8, we got VISTA, we got CONQUEROR, we got everybody a stone throw's distance away from each other, or in this case, a grenade's distance away from each other, trying to take everyone out. VISTA descending from the hills and trying to call out R8.
Dino and a sliver of health. Nothing he could really do. Sunrise is now the final player standing for VISTA. The blue zone closes in, gets rid of him. That's going to be VISTA Gaming eliminated. Alright, might be able to get the revive up, but unfortunately, probably not going to be the case with how quick that blue zone is closing in. OOREDOO Thunders have the southwestern edge, with Smoker already inside the circle, somewhat locked down. The only one could be on top to get the pick onto either Smoker or possibly Osama or Hamco. There you go.
Nice. Finding those shots under OOREDOO Thunders. They need to stay up on that northern side. They'll really prevent those teams on the outskirts from sending it right into their defenses. Or OOREDOO Thunders, though, they're caught a little bit, their attention away on R8, but somehow the only one, they have a Titan like GEEKAY knocking on the front door.
I still like this from the only one because they've committed to one part of this circle. They haven't panicked and felt like they needed to go into the center. They haven't panicked and gone from like the southwest to the northeast or from the southeast to the northeast kind of thing. They've stuck in this area and they still have firm control. The 3-1 split is very strong. They need to get some pre-nades on, and that they do. Elush connects onto the Satan and gets a knock.
Satan, he has to crawl on back. Hopefully isn't flushed out by OOREDOO Thunder from the side, but the only one, they've got the knowledge. They know this fight is about to open up as they're mobilizing now. They had the opening knock and they're trying to close on the remaining members of GEEKAY.
Perfect. Sending the full squad across the road. They want to get the pick on the GEEKAY. They are aware that there is a potential of a third-party threat. If they leave it too late on to engage, there's still no real security. They're allowing GEEKAY to get the nades in return. The revive has come through. It's GEEKAY back up to a full squad. There's a reason why they're the best team currently in the lobby, up on top of the leaderboard. They get a counter knock onto one of the players of the only one. They turn around. Ragnar has every wits about him, 360 degrees, looking in all directions as they get the pick onto the player of the only one. Now it's just one player left alive, and down he goes.
Man, I think the only one, if it was any other team, they could have defended on this side. But like you said, GEEKAY, that's putting the absolute terror, the nightmares into everyone's minds at night, because they are dominating this lobby now, have taken the best position within circle away from the only one. And look, it's only 2 solos left from OOREDOO Thunder and NASR as GEEKAY. I mean, they're well aware of who this is. They're at 6 eliminations looking for some more.
Still a great result for the only one, to be fair. We'll get into that after the game, but indeed, GEEKAY, we said that they had a bit of a surprisingly disappointing game. Technically, they have nothing to lose at this point of the tournament, but they have everything to gain in the form of $1,000 in their back pocket for this game 2 of Super Weekend 3. Day number 3. Hope looks to push in, tries to go for the play, has support from his teammate Ragnar, suppressing the final player of NASR, and down he goes.
I really like that tag team not letting him come on up, but Osama, last one left alive. He sees just a sight of Keith and gets the first opening knock, but it's him against the world.
1v3, the pre-shots, the angles, the plays come through. GEEKAY pick up their 8th chicken dinner of the PMPL Arabia.
Man, I mean, yesterday was just a very quiet day from GEEKAY. They come guns a-blazing. The second match today with a chicken dinner. I mean, we look at GEEKAY, right? Historically, they usually win with much higher elimination points. But I think they found themselves in the center position of the circle for the majority of the match. So they didn't really have the chance to see that many people. So great win from them, but a little bit on the lower end for elimination.
It was just a little bit of a little bit of a weird game
Little bit.
overall, but not without a lot of excitement. Once again, the eliminations being spread out over a number of teams. GEEKAY getting 8, Vista Gaming getting 10. Unfortunately, a little bit too late. However, like I alluded to, the only one esports picking up 11 points in total.
11 point. Well, I mean, beyond, I mean, 12, 11, 11, right? That's a lot. That's very, very similar in terms of points. And I'm liking that we're seeing two of our bottom teams kind of on the top pages here, Imperium, because they're making their progress. The pressure is on them to get as many points as possible in this last day because we only have 3 matches to go.
Let's be fair, it is about time that the OOREDOO Esports pulled out this kind of result. Is it kind of better per se that they're leaving it until like they need to, in the
Yeah.
sense of, you know, when they need to perform they are? Yes. But it's taken them kind of somewhat 40 or so games to do it. I hope that they continue this trend on their confidence building, on their journey to make it into the top 16 and push Rad out of the PMPL Arabia finals.
Road to Glory won the first match with how many eliminations? Remind me again. It wasn't a whole ton. It was about 6
It was
eliminations,
like
I want to say.
6 or 7.
Yeah, so for them to get 6 eliminations with Chicken Dinner is 21 points. So go 21 points first game, that 0 in the second game. Basically, they only had a 10 and 11 point game across these 2 matches. So it's just stop their momentum. You know, they're flying high from the first match and then just hit rock bottom in the second.
And that's just, yeah, that's just an unfortunate case of the volatility of not only 90th minute but the lobby as a whole. But we're going to go to a very short break before we get into game number 3 of the day, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the PMPL Arabia Full Split Super Weekend 3, day number 3, the final game of the league portion of the game. But it's not the final time that we're going to highlight the fantastic sponsors of the PMPL Arabia Full Split. That is Oppo and the upgraded performance and upgraded fun. Celebrate your winning spirit with the brand new Oppo Reno 7 Pro 5G, the designated smartphone for PUBG Mobile, Middle East and Africa esports in 2022, as well as Monster, the official energy drink partner for PUBG Mobile esports. Monica, we've had 2 games go down, a little bit of ups and downs, but we're getting into game number 3.
We've seen some huge up and downs as we saw Road to Glory, right? Win the first match and then go out in 16th position in the second. But we saw a little bit of the beginnings of the redemption arc of Vista Gaming, like the only one, right? They got a decent amount of points, right? 11, 13 points, I think, found in that last match. But they're going to need to really do kind of double that, quadruple that for the remaining matches today.
The only one, I think with the 11 points that they've captured, I'm not going to say right now what they have in total, but it's put them a lot closer. Basically, in the 4 games, they needed 5.25 points per game. By getting 11, they have doubled that. So they only need 11 points, as far as I know, they only need 11 points in 3 games. So that means they only need roughly 4 points per game, and kind of that's what has been their average across the Super Weekend game. So even if they hit their average, it will still be enough at the moment of getting them past Rad.
Yeah, Rad would be Rad. I know Rad. Everyone on Rad right now is hyper looking at the only one, right? And they're saying, okay, just looking at how they're doing it in the games, just hoping that they were taken out earlier in the matches by all the teams above them, so they can still stay, because they're hanging on to the 16th spot to the finals by the skin of their team.
Oh, by a thread, by like a solitary thread, like that rope. You think of like something like you know Mission Impossible, where Tom Cruise is like hanging from the wire, and like the sweat is like about to drip down and expose his position. That's where Radar at the moment, right? And the only one are kind of like the villains of the film, like possibly about to kind of stop them in their tracks, and it could be the case with still 3 more games to go.
Giving you a very visual and descriptive look into how all the Rad players are at. But yeah, I'm sure they're sweating in a puddle though, because it's just, man, I mean to make finals is such an achievement.
Oh,
but it's even worse when you are just you didn't make finals by like 1 point, by like 2 points, right?
Yeah, definitely. They are on 184 points in total, Monica. So it's even better. They only need 9 points. Sorry, 10 points, should I say, in the next 3 games. That, like I said, is an average of less than 4 points per game. I did say that for me to personally to feel a lot happier about the only one making it into the PMPL finals, I really would love to see them end today on a number of double-digit points. They've picked up 1 in the next 3 games. I'd like to see them pick up a minimum of 1 more double-digit points, because to me, it just not only shows to me that they've understood what they need to do, but it will give them just that little bit more confidence coming into the finals.
Confidence is absolute key, but that northwestern circle this time, Imperium. So this is quite opposite of the previous one, right? It landed kind of that quarry area. 90th minute, they played the super ultra passive. Oh, can't figure out which vehicle to go into, but they played that super ultra conservative game last game, right? They just stayed on their half of the world, and then all the way up to that. I don't think they could have gone any further north in Torre Ahumada. And now I think, I mean, they definitely need to switch some gears, because they can't keep playing that kind of passive game if they want to qualify for final.
not ultra passive, right? And it was even more surprising in that previous game because I had started with an early elimination, and that may be have been a little bit more of a free elimination. But normally when a team starts a game off with an elimination or two, it kind of gives them a bit more confidence to play aggressively. So it kind of shows to me that 90th minute overall, their play style is far too passive in fundamental ways, and that may have been obvious before that previous game, but it's been even more exposed from that last game's result.
Expose. And we talked about some of the teams at the top where they need to not so much expose their strategies, right? And maybe potentially Falcons is one of those that is sandbagging themselves to keep their strategies, keep their rotations a secret, so a team can't capitalize on that into the finals where the points do reset and it's a fresh new scoreboard to try to get as many points as possible. Road to glory, ow. I mean, oh man. So this Lambo now has a Omega dent in the front sides, and Road to Glory is we saw a little Volt trying to fly a glider. I think it was last week. So I'm always seeing Road to Glory with these vehicle mishaps.
Vehicle mishaps, man. It's just PUBG Mobile's way, right? It's kind of like the uncertainties of life, like a box of chocolates, right? You know, Forrest Gump. So you just never know what you're gonna get. That's what vehicles are in PUBG Mobile.
Conquer, VISTA. We mentioned before that Conquer is a team that should be doing much better at Erangel. But VISTA is always this contending factor that they always drop somewhere different. Yesterday, they were dropping in Farm, where Twisted Minds wasn't at. They do catch Riva, though, just completely unawares, going for the immediate flush with the VSS. Actually, it's been quite a while since I've seen anyone use a VSS Imperium, and I think this is just early game. Grab any two guns that you can, and then just push the fight.
It's an undervalued early game weapon, in my opinion, and I would have really loved to see it come back into the meta, possibly increase the damage on it, maybe give it 30 bullets instead of 20 with an extended mag. I think that could really benefit it because it has an automatic suppressor. It has an automatic 4x. Yeah, okay, the recoil can be a little bit trickier compared to other guns, but again, I know. I'm a big fan of the VSS. Once again, I'm kind of forced to ask, is this CONQUEROR's first time playing in PMPL full split? Is this their first game? Like, why do they have a solo player where a team kind of rotate to and based off this circle? It's just weird to me. It's so weird.
They just, I don't know. It's like a team come brand new into... It's as if they just came to the professional levels and just didn't really, I don't know, just didn't prepare well enough. So some of these teams, I mean, good thing that they have an entire week off before the finals. So if they do qualify, which I think they have just enough points to do so, they will really need that week to prepare. I mean, all these teams will be doing it, right? Watching every single VOD that they can get their hands on in this tournament and trying to really study and just have a little bit of insight into all the teams are competing against.
Definitely a lot of studying and VOD reviewing going to be done before the finals, and that's what's going to make those 3 days so exciting towards the end of the month. RTG are on the northwestern side of the circle, by the way. They went up to Zarki. To be fair, I'm not sure if that's where they actually initially dropped, or if they went kind of on that northern road from around the Kameshki area, but they've been rewarded from this position with the phase on circle.
Major pride. I guess the best start that they've had to any match today because they haven't lost a member yet. Maybe I'm speaking a little too soon though, because POWR has come up from the GEEKAY area up onto Mount Everest, which usually if the circle was a little bit more further south, this is exactly where Major Pride would be up, and they're looking down at the POWR and the compounds down below. So both these two teams just flip-flopping their kind of directions this time as we have the circle going up to the Georgia Pole area. Team Conqueror though, this is probably the quickest rotation they've made today. Usually we see them finding somebody a little too early, like we saw they lost one to Vista before. But I think they just cut their losses, are now coming up into the sun.
Yeah. You wear flip-flops? Bit of a silly question. You said you were flip-flopping, so I felt like asking that question.
Alright, one more time.
Do you wear flip-flops?
I do.
Okay. Go. As I said, it was definitely a random question, but you said the word flip-flopping, and then I was like, I'm just going to ask this random question, whatever happens, because why not? A nice play by the only one on the side note to get an early engagement onto Triple Esports. Once again, they're on the right path.
They are on the right path, and they are in that central position in the kind of standings here, but we do see 90th minute now taking a lot of pain from Major Pride. And I mean, 90th minute, they're trying to avoid everybody, and they keep doing it at the beginning, and then they just find themselves right in the clutches of yet another team.
Circle does shift down southeast, so it's leveling out in terms of the amount of water that's in play of this phase 2 at least, and the river is still a bone of contention. Power on top of Everest is good for this phase number 2 at least. The only one in a 2-2 split is also quite healthy, but I do worry that 2-2 split isn't really as supportive as it could be.
It's not, and especially going into how congested of this middle circle is coming, you can't really hold those splits as much anymore. GEEKAY coming up from the Razak area, and I mean, they've got Power right above them. GEEKAY, we've seen them take this position before, but they're a little bit late to the punch, right? As we see Satan getting knocked down, but I mean, it's Power to have the first casualty of this engagement.
Because when you look to control Everest, you got to make sure that you control one side at a time. It's very, very difficult to control center because you allow a team to breach the edge of that mountain and get a overflowing control of it. And that's exactly what GEEKAY have done. Not only have they done it with aggression, but POWR Esports allowed them to do it.
POWR Esports, they have a great drop in GACA, but they usually play a little bit too split up this early in the match. I know it's a second phase here, but they don't seem to have that fragging power punch to really back up these big splits that GEEKAY can do, that Major Pride can do as well. So they're always left kind of running for the hills, or I guess this time running for South Georgia Pole with only one player left alive.
But this was a position where they technically had as a full squad, right? So it was one of those games where they were probably more together than other games, and they still kind of lost control. And to me, if I was to expose one of the weaknesses of POWR Esports, it probably would be their lack of IGLing without knowing exactly what their comms are. To me, how they play represents a poor level of IGLing at the moment.
POWR on 9th position, and R8 just a little above them in 3rd place, but they're finding themselves. I mean, they're caught into the open roads, and this is up towards the Zarky, Severny-ish area. R8 rotating onto them, but Road to Glory, I mean, they still have a little bit of a handle on this fight, as R8 is out in the outside of the circle, right? So the blue zone starts coming in now. They've got 2 of them out in the blue, needing to go for a revive, and Road to Glory right where they want R8.
To be fair, kind of definitely don't massively hold this against R8 because it's very, very, very rare that they have a team kind of behind them on that northern side, especially where they are outside this North Georgia area. So it is the kind of thing where they got caught off guard.
R8 is usually up in that Zarky area, so the only team they usually think about is Major Pride, but they're eons ahead of them for Road to
even
Glory.
YALLA, right?
Yeah, YALLA as well too, coming up from Severny. So this is really just a very unfortunate fight to find in the second phase as we're watching it come in through, and oh man, it's gonna be a Georgia Pole circle to finish off this game.
Ooh, the river still is in play, but indeed it seems like George Fall could be the name of the game. It's going to still be risky, Monica, committing to the crates or any of the George Paul areas this early on, because they're still only phase 3.
OOREDOO Thunders, we saw him just waiting in his car. I mean, they are down to only 3 players, so maybe they were just still waiting here, but it was SKYROCKET to be a little bit more proactive in the cars. Even before the circle did close up in that Georgia Pole area, SKYROCKET is already in their car. And that shows a really good initiative to get in the next circle. They already had the momentum going as they go through, and they're able to rotate over past a lot of teams like OOREDOO Thunder that was still kind of scratching their heads, picking their noses, figuring out where to rotate.
Fantastic rotation from SKYROCKET Esports, and what I love is that they're doing it as a full squad, so even if there is a team already there, because again they're coming in technically blind, they're prepared for an engagement. Really clean stuff from SKYROCKET Esports.
And I hope they can take their momentum from yesterday, right? We saw them being the kings of Erangel. Every single Erangel match yesterday was won by SKYROCKET. So they really know how to play this match. I would say that them and GEEKAY are definitely the two that really know the finer details of this map and can win it out in a very, very consistent way.
There's a certain jingle that I gave to SKYROCKET Esports off the back of yesterday's games. It goes something like this. SKYROCKET blasted off at the speed of light. They made the lobby surrender now and took the fights. All right.
Okay, so you're rhyming with light, right? What about SKYROCKET showing up GEEKAY with all their might? SKYROCKET squad wiping everyone on site.
Ooh, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
It's not a jingle now, it's a full-on song with a chorus and a verse in verse 2. Yeah.
That's it. Sign us up, SKYROCKET Esports. We'll only take a small amount of royalty commission off you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Hopefully that's enough to keep them in the standings though for the finals. I think they've done well enough for themselves these last couple of days though. So maybe we'll get it. We'll have a whole production and everything. We'll play in the finals. That can be the theme song.
We can do like a music video and stuff like that, you know, have a grand
dancing.
production about it. Oh, that'd be so cool. And what I like, by the way, with the only one is we've had 3 circle shifts and they stayed around the same area on the 3 circle shifts. And to me, that shows a much better level of calmness, because one mistake that a lot of teams tend to make is that they move off a circle shift when technically they don't have to. And luckily phase 4 is even better for them.
I'm laughing because this is for the second game in a row, it has been gifted onto GEEKAY. If you remember from Miramar, it was the I think it was the 5th phase that went literally right onto them into the center. In GEEKAY, they're not in the center, but they're up on Mount Everest. They have a little plateau where Satana is at, and that has all the visibility on everyone on the outskirts of the circle.
But to me, they need to cover their backs more heavily. They don't really need to worry too much about a team coming in from the east, because if a team comes into the east, they're in the center of the circle and they're more likely going to get third party. So they need to watch their backs and watch it now as VISTA go down.
Yeah, we have seen teams like YALLA, like Pride, they come in on the backside because they're able to identify. A lot of teams here would be tunnel vision, like, oh, let's get eliminations on all these teams below, and then forget to have a watch on their backhand side. They're like an owl, right? They have almost 360-degree visuals, except for that little sliver blind spot on the back of their mind. So hopefully, GEEKAY, they're able to keep their eye over there. As we have SKYROCKET, though, 0 eliminations found so far. It's a little bit off-brand for them so far, but they're still hugging that eastern side and might be able to collect up onto YALLA. Uh-oh.
Yeah, 90th minute coming in from that western edge of Everest. What did I say, Monica? Like, I kind of called it, and GEEKAY have allowed that door to open. I don't know where they are. They are somewhat definitely aware. You can see guys using that third-person perspective to try and get a little bit of information. But I still think it's a missed opportunity to shut down 90th minute earlier and not even allow them to get to the point up the mountain that they have.
The point of vulnerability, which was their opening to prevent 90th minute from coming up, was when 90th minute was still in their vehicles, right? They're coming up, pushing in. That would have been the point. If I'm sitting in the passenger seat, it takes me that half second of animation to get out and then start shooting. GEEKAY, we know, I mean, he's nicknamed the Train. The entire region is calling him this because he's one of the strongest fraggers in this lobby. He could have done heavy damage in 90th minute if he had set himself in a way to see all of them parking their cars.
Exactly. Oh, well, now they're going to have to deal with 90th minute holding onto the edge of the circle. And the thing is, for 90th minute, they've gotten themselves into the edge of the circle. They technically don't need to move forward because if the next circle goes over to the east, yeah, it's still not going to be easy, but they have a lot more kind of variables to disengage down either side of the mountain and make it into the edge of the circle. Either way, phase 4 blue zone is closing in. We're 18 minutes in. We still have 44 players alive.
I was gonna say Road to Glory had a really good spot and just downhill slope, but you see that solo from RH just hugging that boulder, and we've seen solos really be the thorn in the side of a lot of these teams when you're caught completely unaware. So Road to Glory, hopefully they don't lose a member here, because if you're a solo like RH, if you get a knock, it's an immediate finish, right? This person is just playing for as many eliminations as possible.
And looks like it's an immediate finish onto the players of NASR Esports at the hands of NIGMA. NASR being in between kind of NIGMA, SKYROCKET, and the only one for an extended period of time. The phase 4 circle did go in the hands of the only one, and they've made it work, getting the final blow on to NASR. We lose another team.
NASR is one of those titans in the lobby, so for them to go out, I mean, it's going to open up for all the other teams like FALCONS pushing up onto Major Pride, and this is coming out of the crates era. Smoke everywhere as FALCONS, another one bites the dust into Major Pride, this time all against Yusuf and Never Alone.
Yusuf looking to cook up a nade. There's little cover inside the hard area of this building, but Major Pride are looking to come out on top. Never Alone goes into FPP mode, but he's going to be blasted off at the speed light. Not SKYROCKET speed light, but still enough to get the better as Major Pride survived. They are outside the circle. It's phase 5 did center up in GEEKAY. They've been patient. They technically did allow 90th minute to enter the western edge of the circle, but off the circle shift, they kind of recognize that now they need to get the push on their back end.
GEEKAY has been collecting the information this entire time, right? They know pretty much exactly where 90th minute is spread out over here. 90th minute are just, they're all, I mean, there's not a whole lot to spread out on this hillside. You're all kind of 4 ducks in a row, very same kind of angles like GEEKAY, so they really only need a couple to commit to stopping them. And you can see in the miniature map, they have the other 2 looking in because they, although they're still in the circle GEEKAY is, they're not quite in the most favorable position. Nade thrown over the top, trying to open this fight.
If it was another team, I'd be a little bit more worried about GEEKAY Esports. No disrespect, and I still look at them allowing that eastern side of Everest to be open as a bit of a threat. But with the nades going out, they are continuing to suppress 90th minute and edging that little bit more forward as the smokes come out to cover the edges of the mountain terrain. Major Pride make it into the edge of the circle. GEEKAY Hope gets another knock onto Jabal. 90th minute players, 3 left. They're all huddled in a corner, and Shato needs to try and find something against GEEKAY.
We see Satan down on that right-hand side. I think trying to find a different angle because right now GEEKAY, they're not only focusing on 90th minute behind them, it's the only one right into the front, right? And it's I mean, they need to find the different angles here, but the only one really setting themselves in a really nice way because they came down from the mountain up on top here. So I like this turn of aggression by the likes of the only one.
Fundamentals lead to domino effects, and that's exactly what has happened to GEEKAY. Again, they're an extremely strong team, so if any team can deal with it, it's technically them, but it's not going to go out. It's not going to go without casualties. It's not going to go out with. It's not going to go without a continued amount of pressure in their direction. 90th minute are still alive, potentially as a 3-person team. And phase 6 shits up northwest away from Everest.
An evil, evil circle, giving it right to Road to Glory and NIGMA Galaxy, so they can just wait as they watch the Giants trying to descend from the beanstalk at the top of this Mount Everest area. GEEKAY has now isolated the fight with them in 90th minute, so the only one isn't as contending of a fight here as Satan throws a grenade and has a knock on to 90th minute.
Ooh, down they go, Satan with the nade to put the horns into 90th minute. 6 teams left, 18 players, the only one up to a top 6 minimum, up to 4 eliminations. don't quite have the full squad because a player gets knocked, but still, as GEEKAY are forced to shift away off the back of an elongated fight against 90th minute. The only one are in a bit of an opportunity to get a bit of a head start onto 90th minute to GEEKAY to stop them entering the southern edge of the circle.
An unfortunate timing that not because this blue zone is coming out. Compelling factor to make these teams clean up this fight and try to descend Ragnar right into the faces of the only one as they keep throwing the grenades and the opening of the fight happens.
Ragnar pushes in. I don't know how GEEKAY do it again. If it was any other team, you know, I'd be that little bit more worried. But GEEKAY are able to turn something out of nothing. They're able to deal with the pressure, I suppose. That is why they are the current leaders of the PMPL Arabia League stage. The only one disengaged. They make it down very close to the southeastern edge of the circle, while NIGMA Galaxy are still in the center. They're down the hill, but they are under pressure.
They are, and this car is about to blow up if it hasn't already, so Raul definitely feeling the heat from this car. They all spread out down the downhill side. Fortunate for them, they have a little bit of hard cover to prevent GEEKAY from, or the only one actually, just to completely tear themselves apart. But GEEKAY is starting to mobilize now, just coming a little bit more on the left-hand side of this mountain, and they're going to stop just a little shy, and they're going to be having the solo of Conqueror and Major Pride now within eyesight.
Major Pride gonna lose another. Frozen's left alive, and boom goes the dynamite. Down he goes. 5 teams are remaining. The solo player from CONQUEROR is still going in the form of Rio. The only one have been able to rattle in behind NIGMA Galaxy, finding a dip of cover as GEEKAY shifted the other direction down the southwestern edge of the circle. It's not without pressure from either side. As you can see, GEEKAY shooting towards the only one, but RTG come inside for third party to get a knock at the hole.
That was perfect from Road to Glory to wait for that opportunistic angle as the only one. Satan, I mean, doing God's work with the nades into the likes of the only one, and now the other two are hanging by the skin of his teeth. Satan, though, he is pushing up down. He wants to clean up on the only one.
Down to 2 players. I had on a tiny bit of health. The final player as well, prone down, nothing he can really do. And 7R is eliminated, so is the only one eliminated. Top 5 position, I might add, with 4 eliminations. Once again, a positive result. Is it going to be enough to overtake Rad after this game?
NIGMA Galaxy still spreading out just slightly uphill. The circle is going to be central this time, encompassing half of NIGMA Galaxy, but everyone else still needs to get in. Hamody getting knocked down, this time from Gate as he's behind this airdrop, and he's doing so much damage to the snakes in the grass.
4 teams left alive. GEEKAY still surviving as a full squad. I don't know how they've done it, but by God, they've done it well. A little bit dirty at times, but at the end of the day, full squad still going is a full squad still going. NIGMA Galaxy in their own right will lose Hamody. Confirmed, the bleeding out quite quickly. Must be his 2nd or 3rd knock. No! He's been touched by an angel in the form of Freak. That revive has come out barely indeed, Monica.
Barely, just a pat on the back. He's like, you can do it, man. I'm going to get you back on up. We're going to be 4-man strong again, but it's 4. It's GEEKAY with the reset on the top, but it's 4 teams left alive. 1 solo for Conqueror and 2 from Road to Glory. So they, I mean, though, if you're the weaker teams here, you're hoping this full-on 4v4 fight happens between GEEKAY and NIGMA Galaxy.
Hamody's like, here, don't count me out, boy. I'm still going. I've got my team. I've got it. Will NIGMA Galaxy be able to turn that full squad into a chicken dinner? Will they turn it into a knock at least onto Gate to put pressure on the GEEKAY, holding on to the lower side down this northern edge of Everest? Transcending above the ashes of the 3rd game roof, finds an elimination on the hole. GEEKAY being whittled down to just a duo. RTG staying prone, staying quiet. The circle on phase 8 shifts in their direction. They're going to be patient while NIGMA Galaxy look to clean up GEEKAY in all the right way. They're pushing up on the edge of this hill, take control of holding on to the crate. 1 player left alive, Satan on a sliver of health, but he goes down. And like I said, RTG patient as they stand up and get a knock on the Freak.
Day 9 tossing grenades. Oh man. I mean, NIGMA Galaxy, they have the 4, right? They were able to clean up onto GEEKAY, but it's Road to Glory. They're only 2, man, from down below. 11 eliminations found from them. So, I mean, it's an uphill battle once again. Can they win Erangel once again like they did in match number 1?
Will it be 2 chicken dinners and a wrangle for the day? RTG will lead them quite confidently into the finals, no doubt. Second place is still a hell of a result coming in from Zarky, catching out Ari earlier on, sending themselves across the river, catching out the likes of Yalla, and Unknown catches out Lord with an 8, gloriously struck a second on 2. Roof sends NIGMA down to just 2 players, but Unknown is holding on. Oh my lord, by the grace of the PUBG Mobile gods, it's been turned into a 2v1, and RTG grabbed themselves the second chicken dinner of the day.
Wait. Didn't this just happen yesterday in that last match of Erangel where, I mean, by all means and purposes, NIGMA Galaxy should have won the last Erangel game yesterday, but it was SKYROCKET as a solo to come and steal away the chicken dinner. So this has happened once again, this time Road to Glory. NIGMA Galaxy, they were 4-man up, and Road to Glory came as only a duo and just stole that $1,000 away from them.
Kind of wild, absolutely wild. I don't really know. I don't really know what to say, to be fair. NIGMA Galaxy choked that finish. Right, they were allowed to technically get back up as a full squad. They should have known where Road to Glory's final players were.
15 eliminations
they didn't push
for them, so
credit
much,
where it's due.
better,
Road to Glory made them pay.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a turnaround from the first game, right? They finished it with, what, 6 eliminations? So to get even double that elimination to find 30 points.
It was, let's be fair, ridiculously good result for Road to Glory, and a massively deserved win at that. With those 15 eliminations. A great game by GEEKAY as well in their own right. A couple of mistakes made, but still 23 points secured. The one thing that I do notice, Monica, the only one got themselves 10 points.
Wow, that is, I mean, is it enough though, Miriam? That is the question, right? Because how many points did they need? They needed, what, 66 points at the beginning of today, right? And we're doing quick math here, right? We're trying to figure out, are they in striking distance to get into that 16?
It wasn't 66 points they needed. They needed 25 points.
Okay, I was thinking 90th minute, I think.
Yeah, you were. But that's all good. The thing is, they were 10 points behind Rad coming into this game, but I don't know if they had more placements, more chicken dinners. Of course, we'll have to find out in due time, but credit where it's due. Once again, another double-digit result for the only one as we look at the second page.
Uh-oh. Rip to Vista. What did we say after the first match? They needed, man, how many points? It was way too many points. Right? They needed 95 at the beginning of the day. We've seen them have a 1-point game. We now see them with a 2-point game. And oh, man.
It's not happening, Monica. Sorry, it's not happening. Like, it's even going from improbable to literally impossible. That's unfortunate. Again, they can still be proud.
Okay, so we have 2 more games to go, right, Imperium? So it's 1 more Sanhok and 1 more Erangel, and this is getting down to the wire. It's either go big or go home.
Well, look, the only one they've with 2 games to go, they've put themselves within literally either ahead of Rad overall in terms of more chicken dinners, or they're just going to need 1 point. We'll have to wait to find out, as we are going to go to a quick break before game number 4 of the day. Don't go away.
perfection. Ain't no half stepping. I'm gonna take you back. Spitting facts, you gotta live with that. Who got it? Who won it? No problem. We mobbing. In the city, plenty havoc causing. Do or die, it's either all or nothing. Best believe I'm leaving out with something. Anytime I got the crowd jumping. Throwing raves, you know they fist pumping. I'm the king of dysfunction. What would you do if you had my life? Word like me, had them stripes. Would you go hard just to have that ice? Lot of dudes still trying to have that price. In a yo, cooking about to add that spice. Nowadays, dudes never had that fight. When they push you good, better burst your pipes.
Welcome back to the PMPL Arabia Fall Split 2022, brought to you by Oppo. Upgraded performance and upgraded fun. Celebrate your winning spirit with the brand new Oppo Reno 7 Pro 5G, the designated smartphone for PUBG Mobile, Middle East and Africa esports in 2022. As well as that, join us in the grand banquet. Get the ingredients to make more dishes and let's share and spread our happiness together, and take advantage of the group purchase while you're at it. Draw for a discount for free every single day, up to 70% off. No discounts for these teams as we get into game number 4.
Big discounts for sure.
As well as the PMWI announcement. I definitely did forget about that. My apologies. It's time to send your team to the PMWI After Party Showdown from July the 8th to July the 10th to check out the in-game events calendar, to vote for your favorite teams. Use code 2022 PMWI to get an extra voting ticket every single day. Monica, I had to do it all. Sorry, we're getting into the 4th game.
Hey, big information, big news for everyone who's watching now, but even bigger news though, Sanhok. One thing that we really had to point out though was GEEKAY finally leaving bootcamp, right? We've seen GEEKAY and YALLA fight for eons and eons since the beginning of time in bootcamp, and they finally vacated it yesterday.
Did you by any chance find out a reason why they vacated it?
Okay, so I have to commend them for their good attitude with this. Okay, so GEEKAY, I asked them, well, what's the reason? Why did you decide not to go bootcamp anymore? And they joked about it, right? They said, oh, we applied for a visa to bootcamp and we were denied it, so we had to apply for a visa to a different country. So I guess that's gonna be ruins that they're applying for now, and Yalla's gonna have it. So normally teams, they're a little bit salty, right? If you have to leave your spot mid PMPL. So I like the good energy, the good vibes from GEEKAY.
It's always important that you can throw those good vibes out there, whether publicly, privately, or in game, right, as a team, and that's a good sign. And yes, there's always going to be pressurized situations. There's always going to be moments of disappointment. There's always going to be that roller coaster. But the more times that you can enjoy the game, enjoy the experience, enjoy what's going on around you, the better. So fair play to GEEKAY. Fair play to OOREDOO Thunders as they're looking to push on 90th minute.
90th minute definitely not enjoying this early game engagement because they are a team that wants to play passively, but Choto jumping out the windows, finding a knock, but getting traded right in return. This time, 90th minute, 2 players knocked from this side as the Renal Thunder also leading in, being very wounded.
Well, to be fair, I kind of give credit to 90th minute because in yesterday's Sanhok game, they actually didn't drop an team, right? They changed up their drop spot to try and play for a better late game, and they're going to come out on top of OOREDOO Thunders in this final day of Sanhok.
Okay, maybe, I'll give you the flip side of it. Maybe 90th minute is very aware that if they want to qualify for finals, they need as many elimination points as possible. So they looked at the Sanhok map, like where would be the easiest team to drop on to hopefully get a wipe? And I guess they decided on OOREDOO Thunder, and it worked for them. They wiped them out without losing a single player.
I tell you what, as we get onto the engagement between the Only One and CONQUEROR, the Only One can finally breathe a massive sigh of relief despite Luffy going down. If you look at the top of your screen, Monica, you can see the overall standings scrolling across, and as we go from 9th to 12th, we will soon go from 13th to 16th, and you will see the Only One Esports have officially overtaken Rad in the standings with 194 points with 2 games to go. Unless 90th minute pull out the absolute glory of glory results, which is massively unlikely, the Only One Esports have booked their spot in the PMPL finals.
I was gonna say something of that effect. It's unless some miracle does happen, but I mean, it's, what is that? 50 points, I want to say, if I read that correctly. That 90th minute has 144. Like the Only One has 194. So 50 points, and this is, let's just say the Only One doesn't get any points, which of course they did because they got some limbs there. But say the Only One didn't get any points the last 2 games. 90th minute gets 25 points per this match and next, which let's be realistic. Sanhok to get 25 points, that's not a really high fragging match to get.
No, Sanhok is notoriously low fragging for the winning team, so yeah, you're definitely right about that. Look, I'm happy. I'm definitely happier to see the Only One jump ahead of Rad. Off the back of the previous 2 game results, right? Double digits, 11-10. I'm genuinely happy. It's kind of what I asked for within myself, and I hope they get another one, right? I really hope they end on an even bigger note. This game, they're down to 2 players, so it is going to be a little bit more unlikely.
Really hope and dream as Road to Glory. We saw them being super dominant on Sanhok before, but I haven't really seen them win any Sanhoks lately. There was that day that, I want to say it was the 2nd week league play where we had multiple Sanhoks in a day, and they just kept winning every single one, the Only One. Now Lush getting knocked down from CONQUEROR.
Yeah, it's the Only One just not worrying about things, to be fair. So they're down to just Zayed, and look, gonna wait and see how the rest of this game goes for all of the teams, as the phase 1 circle did shift a little bit up north, and a little bit familiar within reason across the Sanhok games you've seen in this Super Weekend. Monica, kind of all phase 1 circles have been around that north side.
We saw a couple land, I want to say to the east of boot camp, which is on that north side, up in Paradise. Yeah, I maybe a couple down into Painan, but it's been kind of the rarity. Like yesterday, Sanhok landed kind of around where POWR is right now, in those spread out fields right across that bridge from Hating onto that main island side. I think POWR actually is really just hoping that circle comes back for a 2nd consecutive time.
Definitely. YALLA in their own right did have bootcamp to themselves, but they've suffered a knock and a confirmation to VISTA, who swung it a little bit earlier on that south bootcamp hill and caught YALLA off guard.
Maybe they their visas are getting rejected by VISTA.
There you go.
So VISTA, a team at the very, very bottom. I think they're doing something very similar to 90th minute. They know they need to play out of their mind, really just go for every single elimination they can possibly find, and they're thinking that boot camp is probably an easy one. YALLA, their guards are down. They know that GEEKAY is not landing here anymore, and they might be able to catch them, trying to rotate out.
They're playing for pride, right? And in the unfortunate sense, they've got nothing to gain out of these final 2 games. CONQUEROR, I can see the replay of what they did to the only one, just kind of sending that little bit of a message, because I don't know how quickly the team see the overall standings after the game. I believe they do see them before the next game. And CONQUEROR, if that's the case, will know that the only one have qualified for the finals. So that kind of Mongnai area is going to be occupied by the only one. So I think CONQUEROR have looked to maybe send a bit of a message to the only one coming into the finals that, hey, look, don't get too close to us. Give us our space and we'll leave you alone.
You're living a little too well over there. I gotta put you down a little bit and make sure you're coming into finals with very low confidence and just showing, you're playing with the big boys now in the finals lobby, but we're gonna be going for you every chance we got.
Yeah, and then if that's the case from CONQUEROR, good, because it's so important that in the early game, you get as much space as you can. And if you know that a team drops near you, you want to try and push them back. You want to try and create that space in the early game. So, yeah, fair play to CONQUEROR. This phase 1 blue zone is very swiftly closing in, and we're about to see phase 2 pop up.
There's a good strategy with that, because maybe they're landing close to you and they're not really engaging with you, but they're still taking, hey, a potential vehicle spawn that you can't take now because they're taking it. There's a potential compound that now you can't loot because they already took it, or a potential rotation you can't get to steer clear around because somebody is there too. So I like how you pointed that out, and we have the circle. Okay, so this is very, very similar to yesterday's, if you remember, right? Right where POWR is at. I think it was YALLA who won it yesterday, just across that bridge where they just kind of stormed it. Road to Glory was way down, all stuck together, and they weren't. Was it? Yeah, I think YALLA was the one who won it. Or was it Road to Glory?
No, YALLA was day 1. It was actually, I think it was NASR Esports that won yesterday's. What
am I thinking? Okay, I'm thinking day 1.
You were thinking of day 1, so
I skipped yesterday.
To be fair, you were on the right path. To be fair, Monica.
PMPL goes on when I'm not casting? What? Like, what happened yesterday?
What teams play when I'm not casting?
What?
Jesus. The world does.
Day 1, not day 2.
The world doesn't revolve around me? You know?
Huh? Well, this is news to me.
One thing I suppose about this phase 2 is that it's a little bit more southeast compared to the previous 2 days, so it does create a softer entry point for the teams coming in later, from that kind of south side of the mainland, at least.
SKYROCKET still on top, and maybe a little bit too split up here, right? They're actually eons away from each other. We have half the team up here looking at 90th minute, right? That's closer to the hot team side of the world. Then you have the other half of SKYROCKET's way down. So they're really split. I mean, this is a bigger split than 90th minute does in Erangel, right? As RRR, he's watching Satan just hop and skip across the bridge, but it's only 3 on the southern side, and GEEKAY is laying down so much pain right back at SKYROCKET.
Lovely pre-fire shots on GEEKAY, but even better in return to send Satan down to just a minuscule amount of health. One thing that I did observe, by the way, Monica, Major Pride didn't drop in Kampong with Falcons this game. They actually moved away to a different location.
Maybe their visas also got denied when they applied for the Kampong visa. Man, I wanna know these requirements to get visas to these countries on Sanhok.
And I don't know, man. Just get good, I suppose.
Get good. Clear as day, just get good.
Yeah. Like, GEEKAY moved away from YALLA because they didn't get good, and now they're going up against SKYROCKET, and they're also not getting good. They've lost Ragnar. Satan's knocked down. Will confirm to be down to 2 players, and SKYROCKET's making a pay. It may have been a heavy split for SKYROCKET, but they're certainly taking advantage of it.
SKYROCKET is the only team actually that has given GEEKAY a run for their money. Despite SKYROCKET, I mean, now they've made themselves up to the middle of the pack, right? But this is the team that hasn't qualified for one of the super weekends. You know, I think not a lot of attention was given to them.
No.
But they won 3 chicken dinners yesterday, whereas before the record was held by GEEKAY with only 2 chicken dinners in a certain day. So SKYROCKET is definitely, they're playing at the height, at the peak of their careers right now.
I suppose, though, that's going to result in more teams VOD reviewing them in a more focused manner leading into the finals, so they will want to be cautious of that. That will be then. This is now, though, as we are still into game number 4 of the final day. The circle shifts, centers up, still majority mainland.
When you're performing that well, you have the target on your back because people are watching you, but also the teams that are really bottom performing, right? Because you have a target on your back as kind of the weakest link in the lobby. When a team, let's say 90th minute, needs a lot of points, they're going to use you as your free kills. They're just going to go for you and try to full send and try to rack up on those points. So you want to be more in that middle ground, at least going into the finals.
That's kind of why I said about alright at the start of PMPL that I want to see them end in the middle of the standings because of that very reason as it happens. So you're absolutely dead right. CONQUEROR, by the way, did end up going down, so we are left with 14 teams. SKYROCKET's once again putting more pressure onto GEEKAY because of that circle centering up, so it's important that they take control and are able to rotate through the trifecta as the full squad.
Unfortunately, they picked the wrong side of that riverway. Normally, this intersection of rivers is a really strong position to have because you're the keepers of any island where it goes. But GEEKAY, I think they strangle-held themselves to the point where they're trying to gatekeep SKYROCKET when they could have just diverted away, gone into the main island part. Of course, they would have had to fight against those teams like VISTA, like we saw, YALLA, etc. from them. But I think just holding themselves on that edge of the circle where you know it's not going to be in the next one was just wasting the time, and unfortunately, they lost the players because of it.
Ooh, okay. Replay what happened to Triple Esports. Ishii got a knock onto sorry, what happened to CONQUEROR, and Ishii got a knock onto Triple Esports, but very quickly returned Ali with a beautiful swivel shot to get a second knock, and Push is gonna that was a lovely replay of what happened. Thank you, observers, for pointing that one out. Really well done.
It's always embarrassing to get 1v2'd, especially when you're literally 180 degrees from the other person. It's not like, oh, he was here and then he flicked, just a slight angle because I was just to the left of my teammate. It's literally he flicked 180 degrees and still won the 1v2. There's really not any excuses because you would have been shooting this person in the back, hopefully to win the fight, but it just didn't work out for CONQUEROR.
Our esports have a notable amount of space available on the northern side. Now, it's still tricky for them because where they technically could shift down south is very open, but it is still interesting to observe. There's more of a cluster around that south and southeastern edge of this phase 3.
NIGMA Galaxy, they kind of piggybacked off these teams, right? YALLA was in boot camp. VISTA came here, shot at YALLA, drove them out onto the hillsides here, as we also see NASR and Pride driven into the same compound. Milky Way, I mean, he's the one that, oh man, he always shoots for the stars, but lands, right back onto Earth. And there goes Pride out in 14th position this time around.
And crashing down to Earth as NASR pushed in. They are already a player down, but they still 3 strong.
NASR, we've seen some great stuff from them. The circle is going to center up one more time. This time YALLA, maybe it was good for them. They're like, hey, thanks for driving us out of boot camp because now we're in the most central, one of the most powerful spots in the circle. But just like Mount Everest in the last game, it's very easy to run up off the back of this hill, and it's kind of hard to defend. So if they can keep everybody a fair distance away from the hill, they could still get the spot.
Whoa, okay, SKYROCKET. Looks like you want to blast your way onto the warehouses of boot camp. I believe they came in vehicles. VISTA Gaming were moving from the main boot camp area over to the warehouses themselves. So we've had a very quick engagement start to play through. Each team losing a couple of players, but it seems like a bit of control going into the direction of SKYROCKETs. The revive being played out, but that is giving a little bit of time for VISTA's remaining 2 players to try and turn this fight around. Another knock goes against them, and that's a confirmed squad wipe in the favor of SKYROCKET.
How does SKYROCKET do this every single time? You think they're about to go out and they just scrap it up and stay alive. They haven't lost a single player, just a couple knocked down. Like GEEKAY are Titans. They are down in 9th, out in 12th position. Triple Esports up the hill, trying to find the likes of Falcon. Gets the knock, but knocked out of the blue zone. Where are his teammates? As the one comes through, it's the 1v1 behind this little bit of a truck. And it's clever. It's ring around the rosy all the time, but the drop shot is what's going to give you the edge up on this fight.
Dance, my pretty, dance around the vehicle as the 1v1 came through, and the blue zone of phase 4 is just encapsulating these teams. This is pretty tough times as you get into the later stages of this game. It's where the pop of blue, in the words of Mustache Dave, really starts to become a beast of his own, and you got to be prepared for that plan B, a potential heat strat coming these teams' way, as we're down to 11 teams of 35 players.
I like how you brought that up, because I was actually just about to say, how much do you want to bet NIGMA Galaxy is going to be med stratting this game? Because they do it every single Sanhok map.
Exactly. It's kind of why,
literally every single one.
I brought it up, because they happen to be kind of looking in NIGMA's direction. So I thought, oh, NIGMA heal strat. Yeah, it makes sense.
It literally happens. Like, they come into Sanhok with one player. Hey, your sole purpose this match is just to go for every single first aid and medkit that you can find.
SKYROCKET still have the warehouses of boot camp under control. The circle has shifted down to the southwest in their favor. YALLA have a tough job to do now, because it centers on top of them, but that north boot camp hill, it's so difficult to cover all areas, so they need to kind of understand where they want to lock down and focus on that direction.
They've got POWR to their north. They've got, I think, R8 coming in from Paradise Resorts as well. NASR, this compound has gifted them a lot of time in the circle, but it's time for them to move now. It's time for them to move on to greener pastures as SKYROCKET. They're keeping their eyes on the NIGMA Galaxy, and they have all 4 up still, so no med strat quite yet.
Wait, look at Roof,
they are
though.
definitely on the wrong side of the road.
Look at Roof. He has 24 first aids.
Yes. What?
Yeah, 24.
Oh.
So,
wait, is he starting yet?
Let's just keep track. We've got 10 teams left. Aiden and Roof is starting to heal strat in phase 5. Let's see where it gets himself and the rest of the NIGMA Galaxy. And to be fair, I understand, because look how difficult it is for the rest of the team. They have to lay down a smoke road. They do get to the underside, but nades swing out and a knock comes through.
SKYROCKET, they saved all their utilities for this rotate. Ripped in, he knocked right in return, but I mean, they're coming in here. They're trying to buy as much time for those 32 first aids in the back. But Lord, I mean, he's got the grenades out here, but this is the circle right in the middle of the hill. Nobody in the circle at all.
Oh, nice play from Easy. Falcons go down. Freaking now going to be the only kind of player left alive, but as a nade comes through, it's going to tickle out, and it's going to see the knock play through. Wolf now the final player up for the side of NIGMA Galaxy. Like I said, healing in the blue. 8 teams are left. YALLA, they're still up. Sorry, yeah, they're still up as a 3-person team. They opted to go down into the compounds of the North Bootcamp Hill. Nobody is inside this circle.
It's in the open fields here, right? And I'd rather be YALLA coming down from the hill, looking at everyone trying to come on top. Just a little bit more cover, a little bit more height advantage for them. 90th minute, though, Choto. He's starting his mid-strat of his own, but unlike NIGMA Galaxy, he only has 3 first aids to try to survive as long as he can in this circle.
Yeah, Ninja, luckily for 90th minute, is further ahead, not quite in it, but still outside of the circle. He does end up getting knocked down at the hands of SKYROCKET. YALLA have a player knocked in their own right. Alright, have been able to swing in behind them, although they are broken, beaten, and scarred themselves. POWR Esports playing on the northwestern edge of the circle. Down goes 90th minute, time by time, minute by minute, second by second. Players are going down, and we have 5 teams left.
All these teams are keeping the pressure on the bleeding wound that is YALLA, but they could possibly get the reset here. Nobody is pressuring their position as POWR is using this opportunity to ascend up, and SKYROCKETs too. I mean, they're fighting tooth and nail against Road to Glory up the hills from them. So everyone is kind of focusing on the team to their right and trying to ascend on up. We still have that lone meta Raouf out in boot camp, metting up and using those first aids.
RTG? 2 chicken dinners in Erangel and up to a top 5 with 3 players still strong in Sanhok. This is their day in the final day of the PMPL Super Weekend number 3. But of course, SKYROCKET's looking to steal their thunder, steal their lightning, and get another strong day in their back pockets.
If Road to Glory can get a chicken dinner, get another chicken dinner, they would match the chicken dinners that SKYROCKET has gotten. I think it was yesterday, the 3. So I mean that's the bar that SKYROCKET has set up in the stratosphere of the sky. Road to Glory though, grenade right back at SKYROCKETs, preventing RR from getting any higher.
YALLA have been able to get back up as a 3-person team, but they're pinched in between 2 teams in the form of POWR Esports and RTG. Unknown inside the blue. Prozan gets 1. Lath is trying to hold down. Sanji is going to get knocked. Lath is now the final player up, but there's nothing he can do, and YALLA get absolutely clustered in this Phase 7. Phase 8 centers up. It shifts up north in the favor of POWR Esports. Now SKYROCKETs need to make a move, and RTG being whittled down to just 1 player.
They got absolutely demolished. The SKYROCKET coming off the back of that one, now turning the sights onto Road to Glory. But POWR, everyone is farming the eliminations onto SKYROCKET as easy. He has definitely got everything set on him. So many hurdles as he looks for that solo. Raul finally taken out.
J9 was like Simba on top of that rock, but it's not going to be the Lion King result for them. It is going to be a chicken dinner for POWR Esports.
POWR Esports, we were being a little critical of them before in the previous games, right? They just weren't able to set themselves up well, would lose too many players a little too early. But really, POWR, they stayed real quiet on that northern side of the hill, and they waited for Road to Glory, clear out YALLA, which YALLA was the only team that could have prevented POWR from winning the match. But I mean, I think they owe a little handshake in the direction of Road to Glory.
But even before that, right? I said that even though they had a bit of a clearer path from that compound up north, it was still an open path, right? And that was always going to hold a lot of risks. They covered that timing beautifully, right? They didn't get involved with R8, like you said. They stayed very quiet. And yeah, when push came to shove later on, RTG were that distraction. 15 eliminations, though, for SKYROCKET's Monica. What a game.
That is such an outlier for Sanhok. Normally we see Sanhok, like if you just remove SKYROCKETs, right? You normally see like, 8, maybe 10, but most of the people have 5, 6 and below eliminations. So for SKYROCKET, they didn't even win the match, but still got 15 points. They just, oh man. I mean, we need to turn our SKYROCKETs into just like a movie soundtrack now, right? A little jingle, because they just keep soaring higher and higher. That's the thing.
It's the jingle, Monica. It's got to be the jingle. Right?
You're welcome.
You're welcome, SKYROCKET. You're welcome. Genuinely a great result, and they deserved every single one of those elimination points. The way they got the advantage onto GEEKAY and then swarmed in, the way they pushed in onto VISTA was risky in its own right, but they played with confidence. And you said at the start of this game, confidence is so important. SKYROCKET was the blueprint for it.
We're looking at that second half of the page, right? And the only one we were talking about before, hey, they needed so many points, X amount of points to make it a finals. They already made the finals, right? They're even with 2 points, they're A-okay. They're the only thing that could really contend with them is if the teams below them, like 90th mid, like VISTA, have a massive game. But VISTA, I mean, they had that great first day, but so far today, I've only seen 1s and 2s come out from them.
Yeah, it's look. I'm not too worried. It's a good observation. Maybe they're just kind of trying to
I'm
keep their hands
hoping.
quiet
Come
coming
on.
into the finals. I know it's a good observation. What is also a good observation is going into the break before we get into the final game of the day. Welcome to the PMPL Arabia 2022 full split, brought to you by the fantastic folks over at Oppo. Upgrade the performance and upgrade the fun. Celebrate your winning spirit with the brand new Oppo Reno 7 Pro 5G, the designated smartphone for PUBG Mobile, Middle East and Africa esports in 2022, as well as Monster, the official energy drink for PUBG Mobile esports. We're into the final game. It's a little bit bittersweet, Monica. But look, it's been a long journey. Let's take a look at the overall standings.
Of course, this top half, it really hasn't changed that much today, right? Like these teams really just kind of solidified their spot. I think Power with that last chicken dinner did jump up into this first page of it. maybe a little like R8 or major, I think changing around, but we really haven't seen this change at all today.
I really would love to see GEEKAY get 10 chicken dinners in this Super Weekend. They had 15 games to get 3. Unfortunately, the maximum they can get is 9 if they do finish off this final game of the day. Jason, Mr. Kaplan, sir, you're going to have to wait for your double-digit chicken dinner team in a PMPL. Yeah, very happy to see Road to Glory jumping up to 7th. They've had a hell of a day so far, Monica. 64 points in 4 games.
That is almost as consistent, or it's more consistent than I would say that was it SKYROCKET did yesterday, right?
Yeah.
The SKYROCKET got almost that same amount of points. They had 3 chicken dinners, but the other 2 were just throwaway games, right?
Yeah,
2
exactly.
points. So Road to Glory, at least what they have going for them is being more consistent on those non-winning matches.
Moving on to the second page, YALLA dropped down to 9th. SKYROCKET themselves are still in 10th and much closer to YALLA, so they could finish ahead of YALLA at the end of this game. Twisted Minds, they're not playing, so they're still in 11th place.
4K just breathing a sigh of relief, right? Because
Yeah.
they were a team that's not in for this weekend, but they had just enough points to kind of slide on into the finals here with 215, 1 match left. I don't really see any sort of universe scenario where they, slip out of the final.
No, unfortunately, our 16 teams have been confirmed for the PMPL finals. We say unfortunately because we always like to see that final game having something on the line, whether it's obviously that top spot if there's a lot of money, for example, or if it's the finals position and it's fighting for that 16th place. Still, congratulations to the only one and every single one of these teams for making it into the PMPL finals. Let's get into the final game.
I know I have a bit of an evil streak, right? Let me throw this one at you. VISTA in 90th minute, they've got nothing to lose, nothing to gain, right? So they could just play for the lulls, play for the memes in this game. I'm wondering if they would just drop on somebody, just put us out of our misery. We have nothing to do this game, and maybe just to be funny, they'll drop on somebody.
They could do that for sure. What I do observe is that CONQUEROR have dropped more on the western side of the map.
Oh.
They will know that 90th minute are not playing in the finals. So maybe, just maybe, they're trying a different drop spot and pathing from that drop spot in the lead up to the finals.
I think they're not sending a message in 90th minute. They're sending a message to everyone else. Okay, look at the circle. Did we not just have this 2 Erangel matches ago? Where it ended. You see that northern player of YALLA? That's where it ended, just to the south of that compound on the side of the hill. But yeah, CONQUEROR, I just going back to that point, I think they're sending a message to everyone else in the lobby. Don't get any smart ideas of trying to take up this entire corner of this map. We're going to take it for finals.
Definitely. And I really like that because, again, CONQUEROR have nothing to lose, right? So why not take this opportunity at the final game to work on your own playstyle, your own path, and your own rotations into these circles. And phase 1 just technically benefit them. 90th minute will have to be very careful. POWR Esports are in that 4-man split around GEEKAY. Otherwise, pretty standard stuff, it seems.
Boring. I wanted VISTA. I wanted 90th minute to just drop on somebody, give us something exciting to watch for. But I guess they're just gonna play a normal game. Same old for this last Erangel.
One thing that I also noticed is that RTG have gone to Milta POWR. Now, the play path doesn't complement kind of their normal drop spots around Kameshki or Zarki. And again, SKYROCKET have established Novo as their second drop spot, but Rad normally dropped around Milta POWR as far as I know. So they're in vehicles now shifting up north, but my rough idea was that they could overtake Milta POWR as a drop spot coming into the finals.
You know what I see some teams do when they really want to send it, not just, I like this is a little bit more indirect sending a message, right? Like, hey, we're gonna go here. But some other orgs, some other teams, even before the start of a tournament, they'll post on their socials, like on their Insta stories, and they'll say like, put our team's logo on boot camp, on Milta Power, and just send a huge message into everyone's faces. This is where we're gonna go, and we're gonna claim it now, sort of thing. So this is a little bit more subtle doing it in this last game of Super Weekend. NIGMA Galaxy, though, they're sitting towards the top, right? They've done really well for themselves, and they're coming into this match in second place. I think it's a little bit too far to even dream to catch up to GEEKAY, because they are sitting at about a, what is that? I mean, that's a lot of, that's almost 80 points difference between the two. So GEEKAY really has nothing left to lose here, and neither does NIGMA Galaxy to gain or to lose, because they're pretty solidified in that second place.
Hey, Major Pride. Sorry, it's a little bit of a technical audio glitch between myself and Monica. Apologies about that, but look to resume normal service soon as possible. GEEKAY Esports have a 2-2 split between Roshawk and Watertown for the time being. It's something they will want to be careful of because of this phase one being quite heavily up the northwest. It means that teams coming in from the south, based off that very southern playing path, will want to be quite. There's going to be a migration that GEEKAY need to watch their backs with.
SKYROCKET, can they finish this insane weekend off with yet another chicken dinner? We haven't seen them win out on Erangel yet today, despite winning all three of them yesterday. So, I mean, SKYROCKET, I think it's really just that dark horse that came out from the bottom of the standings. They had 0 points in Super Weekend after week 1 because they didn't even qualify, right? And then they just really took that weekend off, turned things around, and then are now one of the super, super strong teams in this lobby.
Have you ever seen the film Anchorman?
I've seen bits and pieces, like highlight clips. I haven't seen it.
So they do. There's this song that kind of goes, "Skyrocket tonight, absolute delight." So what you can do is skyrocket delight. Sorry, skyrocket tonight, Erangel delight. See?
Okay, so is that where you got the music of the jingle, or the tone of the jingle from?
No. This one just came into my head right now. I'm just maybe I should quit commentating and just write jingles. Jesus, found a new career right now. Thank you very much, SKYROCKET.
I'll take the rest of this match, and then you can just write the jingle for the finals for SKYROCKET. Okay. Yeah. Deal. Sounds like a plan.
Delight. Afternoon.
What rhymes with light?
Blasting off.
Might sight.
Might sight. Fright.
Light.
Tight. I could say a bad word there, but I won't because it's on broadcast.
This is the creative process, guys.
Anyway. I'll leave that till after broadcast.
PUBG?
PUBG Mobile. Oh yeah. This is of course the final game of the PUBG Mobile Pro League portion. We will have the finals coming up in the next couple of weeks. I believe 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of July. We do have the 16 teams confirmed, so this last game is a little bit more relaxing.
What we usually see in other regions, it's always that last game, and it's pretty exciting, right? Because it's usually 1-2. You know, this team could, by a miracle, win the last match and qualify, and we've seen that happen multiple times. This one's a little bit more anticlimactic, right? This is, even if 90th minute. Even if Vista Gaming win this last match, I think we did the math in the break, Imperium. What was it? 90th minute needed 40 some odd
40
points
something
to even
points?
match
Yeah,
up
it's
with
not
the only
happening.
one. Yeah. Unless all the teams just gave away all their eliminations, they're like just to send it into the laps of 90th minute, and maybe they could get 40 some points. But that's literally wiping half the lobby.
And I do gotta say, I do have to say, and it was always a rarity in the spring split, but overall, I do have to say once again that for the most part, the competition lobby has increased, and the cutoff point for the finals has increased. What is an interesting observation is from that spring split, outside of Triple Esports that did make it into the finals on 161 points, the team above were Dunak Esports on 192, right? So it's amazing that outside of that rarity, there is also within reason a little bit of a similar cutoff point between spring split and fall split.
NIGMA Galaxy looks like they're rotating back into Chinky this time around. So I don't know, spinning their wheels, wasting their gas, and you know how expensive gas is right now. So let's hope they saved a couple gasoline tanks for them to have, because they're just kind of backtracking right here. We're at the 10-minute mark as Vista Gaming, losing one right off the bat to Triple Esports, going for the immediate flush. And Vista Gaming, they landed down in that farm area, so they've rotated quite a ways up here on this northern side.
Woo, let's go, Vista Gaming. Your final game of the PMPL full split. Let's have fun. Let's make it count and get as many eliminations as you can. Get down and dirty against the rest of the lobby. Triple Esports up as a full squad. They have been able to pick up that first elimination point onto Vista Gaming, so it's going to be a little bit harder. Trofka, he's on his own, and that's really not the way Vista wanted at this stage on that 2-1 split.
I was gonna say the only thing saving Trofka was the overwatch from down below, that from Dino and his other teammates, but they just couldn't really save him as Triple Esports came over the top. And Clever tossing a grenade, maybe over committing the amount of resources he's gone into trying to go for the flush here, because these are just grenades that they can't use later on into the game. But maybe it's just game 5 things, Imperium.
And that's why kind of that split that Vista had wasn't the right split. You realistically wanted the opposite way around, where you have 2 players in the front line and 1 in the back line, because Trofka getting knocked, if he had a teammate there with him, off the back of the trade, would have been able to get revived up, and it would have been a bit more of a 3v3 fight. But either way, it is what it is. Trofka gets confirmed up, and Triple Esports maintain an element of control.
The other team right on the bottom of the standings, right next to Vista, is going to be 90th minute. These two teams that are really just out of the picture for finals. CONQUEROR, Iraq, this is interesting from them. They landed more on that western side, and they bombed it up into the hospital area right on next to Major Pride. So maybe they're sending a message directly to Major Pride this time. They're like, hey, we are here. Don't come any further south in your looting spot.
Of course, phase 2 does whittle a lot of that south of George Paul area away. So phase 3 most likely will kind of shrink it even more. So this engagement is quite important for control and for timing coming into the next shift. But 90th minute, man, final game, they're doing something. I like it.
I mean, this is 90th minute. Nothing to gain, nothing to lose. I guess just go for it. If you have nothing to do on the standings, just go for some highlight clips, right? Like, at least you have some content to post on the socials later, because they are doing heavy damage to Major Pride. 4 eliminations found from their team this time, and they're really putting the pressure onto Major Pride, as once again, Major Pride left as only 1 player left alive and just running for the hills.
Well, let's be like, okay, I'll talk about it in a sec, because NASR have contested Triple Esports for that hill ground position overlooking North George. And I was actually thinking that would have been the case, because they were somewhat exposed, and maybe they spent a bit too much time looking ahead and not looking behind, and NASR catch them off guard. It is just about a clutch from Ali. It will allow him to get the team back up as a full squad, though.
before, though, we did see YALLA go out to the likes of Falcons on that northern side there, and it was just grenades unrelentingly coming out from either which direction. Only Leif left alive in that last grenade, just a tick of damage, and does take him on out. So we saw that on the northern side that we missed before.
And a rare north of the river finish, by the way. So I would argue that YALLA not really used to having so many teams in their vicinity, right? And I hope they will look back at this game, do a VOD review, and kind of be a bit more prepared for a similar circle coming into the PMPL finals. RTG, under pressure, they've had a good day so far. Falcons, though, again, looking down on a strong note.
This is also super far north as Yusuf is pushing in now, and he could go for the flush here, but I don't think he wants to waste the ammo that he needs to hold for this fight against Volt. He's up onto the rooftop, so jumping on over to the side, trying to go for the 1 versus 3, whips around, and actually it was 4 players of Falcons swarming in and taking Road to Glory out.
90th minute, up to 4 eliminations, Monica, and let's be super duper kind of wild. Chicken Dinner 15 points. They get 30 eliminations out of 44 players left alive. Sorry, 40 players left alive, because you gotta eliminate themselves. They need another 26 eliminations out of the 40 left. So they still need 2/3 of the lobby eliminated. They do find 1 onto Rio, at least if they can confirm it. So that puts them up to 5 eliminations.
I like how we're still humoring this just one in a, not even billion, 1 in a trillion chance that this would ever happen. We're still just like, it could happen. They could do it. Come on, wipe 2/3 of the lobby.
Well, like, look, 1, what else have we got to go? Have we got to go on, right? 2, it's definitely not in this super duper serious, obtainable way, but it is.
Wow.
I am kind of using it to say, hey, good job, 90th minute, to end on a bit of a high note, but that circle is massively a high note, shifting up to the very north.
You know, I've seen teams where they know they're not going to qualify yet, right? Like, at all. And suddenly, that last game, they do so well. Because all of a sudden, the pressure is gone, right? There's no, hey, we got to win this game. It's just, hey, we're just playing for fun. So they're playing very freely, very liberally, and they're just lots of laughs, just going for it. And sometimes teams play way better in that relaxed state instead of putting so much pressure on themselves.
Definitely. Pressure should be kept for tires and diamonds, and unless you're a diamond in the rough of this lobby, you got to be able to deal with that pressure accordingly. Ardu Thunders have the south edge of the circle quite nicely. Shooting range hill is incredibly difficult to control, so this kind of circle is a lot trickier than it looks.
It's very on the extremes of the map. Most of these teams are probably, when was the last time we had a Severny finish? And for a team like YALLA, they're kicking themselves right now, right? They're like, this is in our backyard, and we went out too early. NIGMA Galaxy are really just foreigners to this land because they're just getting caught out in the open on the side of this hill. Only freaking Lord left alive, and Raul is a little bit too far away to give a little bit of support for a revive.
To be harsh on NIGMA, even though I said shooting range hill is quite difficult to control, where they went is the last place I would have gone, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, it is what it is. Power as a full squad gain a little bit of control as they reposition around to put pressure onto NIGMA.
Lord, first aid in hand. Not 32 first aids this time like in Sanhok just before. In Power, did they win the last? Yeah, they won Sanhok, right? So they're flying high, and we've seen teams in this region, they either come off a win with another win, or they go out first. So I think, you know, for them to survive this long already, they're setting themselves up pretty well in this match.
They are indeed. They are indeed. Kind of get a back-to-back chicken dinner to end their PMPL run before the finals. It would be certainly nice for their confidence, I'll tell you that much. The 2 remaining players in 90th minute, by the way, coming in very late on that western edge of the circle. They will have R8 around them, but they're going for guts. They're going for glory. R8 has a full squad, but they have a 3-1 split. And Tam Tam does get a knock at the SK Tom. By the way, a second one run over. 90th minute. What a way for you to go down. Beautifully done. Let's go.
When in doubt, oh my god. When in doubt, just use the cars, right? When you have no confidence in your gun skill, you just go in with the cars. So 2 found out it's going for the flush onto R8 and Falcons on the other side of this little shelter area. He goes right on back.
It's VISTA with a bit of a third party per se. TamTam is still alive.
Yes.
There could be a cause for a revive, but no, Falcons Never Alone comes in and what goes around comes around, Monica. The run over comes at the hands of Falcon.
Immediate karma right back on it. So thanks for playing 90th minute, but I guess we'll see you next season. The circle is going to come up onto that roadside. Not a lot of actually any compounds really here. I think we might have a little, no, it's not in there. I was thinking these shelters could possibly be in here, but Falcons really needs to reset quickly because they currently only have 1 player on his feet.
I also love the fact that you said instant karma, and that was a pun in its own right, and you just run over with a car. Beautiful. You didn't even know you did it.
Yes.
I noticed it because
I
am a boomer.
No, it was
with
very
my
intentional.
dad jokes.
I have 2.
Okay. Monica, dude. One of the many reasons
So
why I
Monica's
love
so
casting
funny.
with
She's a
you,
comedian.
and I love you. You're just so funny. You're just so funny. Vista looking to make a laugh out of NASR Esports, but it's going to be NASR that's going to have the last laugh cleaning up Vista Gaming. We're down to 9 teams.
But it's actually OOREDOO Thunder to be laughing even louder than NASR because they're coming in with that third party Ali, sending it for the circle in the UAZ that is about to blow. GEEKAY, uh-oh, they are out of the lobby. So who's going to win this match, Imperium? Because we're down to 8 teams left in this lobby.
You only want to have 3 players up. SKYROCKET have a full squad. POWR have a full squad. I would say it's going to be between SKYROCKET and POWR Esports for the final game of the day.
Of course, SKYROCKET's the safe bet, right? They've been doing great all weekend, so I hope they can also continue that and really bring this momentum and their strength that they have shown into finals in 2 weeks. Actually, a week and a half.
Well, as of right now, they need to finish off NASR, and they find Ali, just one more victim in front of them. No, he's cleaned up by Falcons of all teams, so nicely done. It's the final player, Falcons, and he's going to pick up an extra elimination point and an extra placement point as another team goes down. We have 7 left. Hamp goes knocked. SKYROCKET from a distance continue to put the hurt down onto the other teams.
OOREDOO Thunders and SKYROCKETs are the 2 teams that have rotated the furthest in this circle. OOREDOO Thunders down that military base, SKYROCKETs down in Novo crates. So for them to come up to the northern side, usually the teams that have that hard rotations don't have an easy entry into here, and somehow these teams are still up alive, but R8. I mean, they're playing on the pain onto OOREDOO Thunders and not allowing them another foot into the circle.
POWR Esports moved away from the southeastern edge of the circle and they moved up towards the northeastern edge, putting a little bit of pressure onto the only one split as a 2-2. I believe one player of the only one does get knocked. I don't know if the revive is possible. The circle is going to benefit both the only one and POWR Esports as a confirmed knock does turn into an elimination for the only one.
Circle gifting it to the likes of POWR and to the only one, but the only one, they're pretty spread out as we see Zyad get flushed on out, and you know, it's good to be in the center of the circle, except when you come this late in the game. When you're the 5th phase moving on to all the rest, it is just, I mean, everybody is looking at you.
It probably should have been the case that they would have been best joining up as a full squad in the center where Luffy and his teammate were. They left that a little bit too late because POWR Esports maneuvered up from the southeast to the northeast. That's where the punishment came in. And SKYROCKET's in their own right, to be fair to them, are looking to get involved in that regard. Halaji is being slowed down on his movement, forced to prone down.
OOREDOO Thunder is now eliminated out in 7th position, so good run for them, but that's going to be it for them into the super weekends in SKYROCKET. 7 eliminations found so far, really making a name for themselves. Can they soar any higher as R8 Prestige? I mean, they're going for the vehicle strats one more time, and how many vehicles have we seen Imperium in PMPL Arabia?
Well, Easy makes that one look easy as he finishes off. All right. Team Falcons, by the way, still never alone, left on his own, staying alive for his side, gets himself and his team into a top 5 minimum as Aloosh throws an aid in the direction of Triple R of SKYROCKET that will force the rest of SKYROCKET to turn their attentions onto the only one.
I want to point out Falcon, even though Never Alone is by himself, he's at 11 eliminations right now. So
What?
Well found out frags. Yes, you do. Because they fought against YALLA, they fought against everybody.
Yep.
Lord now needing to fight against POWR as they're ascending over and trying to take Freak out.
Halaji finishes them off, but it is a third party from Luffy to get the knock on Halaji. Quickly responded, by the way, from Kante as the smokes come out to try and get a revive. The only one Esports are in between the remaining 3 teams. SKYROCKET, POWR Esports, the only one, and Falcons are our final 4 teams.
Actually, I was scared for the only one. They're right in the middle, which they start in the danger zone, but they have actually an okay type of sandwich here because SKYROCKET is looking over on top of them. They've now smoked out the visualities, but in a normal sense, POWR and SKYROCKET to prevent the either one from storming down into the shack and clearing out the only one. Circle is going to come and be pulled this time down into that southeastern side with the only one in POWR with it.
Shots from Halaji looks to try and inadvertently benefit the only one because they have a less of a information on towards the members of the only one, and Aloosh is going to get a beautiful nade to knock down Triple R.
Rip. He's got a little bit of an angle here, but Aloosh, I mean, the only one, don't count them out yet, even there, though they are only at 20% capacity, but you can't forget about the solo, that it's going to be Falcons right on the edges here. He could stand up at any second and be the peppering shots to any of these teams still left in the circle.
Indeed, indeed. Never underestimate a thorn in your side. Never underestimate a solo player in this game. And what Falcons have produced so far, it backs that up even more. All the focus between SKYROCKETs and the only one, as well as POWR Esports, is on each other. Nobody is looking in the direction of Never Alone. The thing is, SKYROCKETs are still up as a full squad.
Falcons has his brown and white plumage really camouflaging into the edges of the circle. RRR though, they know they need to clear. This must be so frustrating for them because they know it's only 2. Fluffy, Aloosh are just waiting just a little bit separate here in case a grenade from RRR from SKYROCKETs can open up the slide. And Aloosh, he's got a sliver of health left.
Down goes Team Falcons, valiant effort in the final game. The knock does finally connect onto Aloosh. Luffy's the final player up for the only one, and that's the push. Exactly the kind of push that SKYROCKETs need to move down the hill and into a controlling position on the edge of the circle. They know that POWR Esports have that lower ground position. They knew that they were a threat for a third party, but Triple R with an aid in his hand does get a bit of a knock, but it's instantly responded by one of the SKYROCKET teammates, and Rip sends himself around. He is the last player up for his side. POWR Esports look to finish this game with the chicken dinner and find themselves a back-to-back in day 3 of PMPL Super Weekend 3.
What a way to end it, and especially really setting the tone for going into finals, right? Everyone's gonna remember these last few matches, like, hey, POWR, they are not a team to mess with, and really showing us why they are deserving to be in that top half of the overall standing.
Very, very strong result. They moved away in the right position to go from the southeast to the northeast. They then got a little bit of circle luck. However, they took advantage of that by catching out 2 of the only one players. And I unfortunately do have to say, if the only one had stayed up as a full squad, it probably would have been a bit harder for POWR Esports. That isn't their fault. That is POWR Esports taking clean advantage, and in the end, they got the chicken dinner. Such an exciting end to the tournament, despite nothing really being on the line.
I think nothing being on the line except for the $1,000, right, for the chicken dinner and the power. I mean, that was their last chance, right? The last $1,000 that could have been won by any of these teams. I'm sad we didn't see SKYROCKET's get a chicken dinner today, right? Did they? I don't think so. I don't think they got a single
No,
chicken dinner today.
no,
Mm,
no, they
no, they
didn't.
used it all up yesterday.
But still a great day. Like, I think they ended with a total like 60 something points in a day. And if you take their super weekend performances as a whole, every single day it's been pretty high quality. So yeah, they are riding high up in space coming into the finals. Let's look at the second page of the standings coming into this final game.
A lot of the teams that went out early and I think really fed those eliminations to Falcons. Because remember at the end, I was like, wow, he's never alone as one person left, but he has 11 eliminations. It was teams like YALLA. I'm trying to remember which other teams there, but they definitely had that full on 4v4 fight really far on that northern side to take YALLA out of the match.
On a side note, by the way, the only one getting themselves 14 points in that final game. As far as I know, that is the only no, sorry, the only one did get a 26-point result. I think it was a chicken dinner in the final game of Super Weekend number 1. But outside of that, as far as I
Mm.
know, that's the only one stronger result. And in a day as a whole, they scored 41 points. So genuinely, well done to them. I said I wasn't going to be super happy unless they got a minimum of 2 decent results, and they got 3 today.
3 great wins today or 3 great performances today, but let's take a look at the overalls this time. And I want to see, I mean, we already kind of knew who was making it into the finals, right? But I want to see that top half because really these are, they're only competing against themselves, this top half pages, right? I think POWR, they've moved up one more spot, if I'm correct, above Road to Glory and pushed them down to 8th.
Well done to GEEKAY Esports, of course, coming out on top of the PMPL League stage for Arabia. Can they repeat that kind of domination? Can they repeat the same level of performances coming into the finals? That remains to be seen. NIGMA Galaxy in second, R8 in third. It's going to be such an exciting final, I can tell you that much. We also need to speculate the potential PMGC points and how that plays into the overall standings of this PMPL. The points acquired today, has that had an impact? Is there that automatic spot? Just something to bring into the mix, because NIGMA Galaxy, they did perform within reason a little bit better in this third super weekend, and again, enough to finish in second overall with 386 points.
Honestly, I would have expected NIGMA Galaxy to be in the position of GEEKAY, right? That's a team that I've known for quite a while to
Okay.
always have that really kind of dominating presence and performance. So, I mean, they made it in the second place, but like, if I'm honest, it was a little like underwhelming how they got to second place because it was a lot of just consistent placements, but not a lot of huge, massive wins.
True, but I will kind of caveat that by saying the Nova effect. That's just something that I'm kind
No
of putting
effect.
out there. The no genuinely the Nova effect. That's what I'm kind of putting onto Enigma Galaxy because I feel like they deserve it. Let's look at the second page though of the overall standings and just to visually confirm the top 16 teams moving on into the PMPL finals on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of July. The only one esports have booked their spot moving ahead of Rad, and that cutoff
Mm.
point became 210 points.
Okay, so SKYROCKET yesterday, okay, they started the day in 15th position in 163 points.
Wow.
So they went from 15th and they ended yesterday in 11th and have now jumped from 11th up into 9th. So to move from, well, 15th, which is barely qualifying, right? Right, really solidified in 9th place. And even if you think beyond that, they didn't make the first super weekend. So they started with one entire less weekend. So they have 30 matches under their belt. But they have more points than even YALLA, like even the only one who has competed in every single weekend.
Monica, even better. They came into this super weekend on a total of 104
yeah.
points. They've scored
Oh my
they
God.
scored 196 points, if I'm not mistaken, in this Super Weekend. In 15 games, they scored 196 points. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I think you are right with that, and that is almost matching. If you remember GEEKAY last weekend,
Yeah,
they did 206 points in one weekend. So
yeah.
SKYROCKET's really the only one that seems to be competing against GEEKAY.
13 points average per game in this Super Weekend alone. So again, the finals are going to be exciting because not only do you have the kind of heavy hitters at the top, such as GEEKAY, NIGMA, R8, but you also have those teams that maybe missed the Super Weekend, whether it was this weekend, whether it was last weekend, and they've performed pretty well in the games that they've played,
Oh
hit
yeah.
solid averages. The teams do start back at square one coming into the finals as well.
You better get your popcorn ready, you better get your soda, your pop, everything, because it's gonna be super exciting and definitely a thriller to watch. But Imperium, I think we need to say goodbye though to our last page teams, right?
Yeah, Rad, 90th minute, Vista Gaming, and Cur 12.
Aw.
Definitely a surprise to see Rad not make it into the PMPL Arabia finals. But again, it just is a testament to the ever growing level of competition in the Arabic region and the MENA region as a whole, I might add. So, commiserations to all four of those teams. Genuinely, thank you for playing as much as you could, like playing as good as you could in the moments, for putting yourselves out there week in, week out, game in, game out. It was an absolute pleasure to cast your games and tell your stories and be part of the ups and downs. I look forward to seeing all of these players, all these teams later down the line.
Really, I mean, this is the first season I've got a cast in the PMPL Arabia, so I am even more excited to see the finals for the very first time. But I mean, I just can't wait, Imperium.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very exciting. And while we wait for the PMPL finals, you can get involved with the Grand Banquet in game. All you have to do is get the ingredients to make more dishes. Let's share and spread our happiness together. And while you're at it, you can draw for a discount for free every single day, up to
Let's
70%
go.
off as a group discount. So get involved in the in-game events while we wait for the PMPL Arabia finals.
Yeah, we got about a week and a week and change, right? Off
Yeah.
until the final. So these teams are going to be going back. They're going to be watching the streams, and they're definitely going to be reviewing to see how did SKYROCKETs do so well this weekend? How did GEEKAY do so well the weekend before that? And really trying to analyze and see where are the points of weakness that we could possibly hit and crack this team.
Lots of questions to be answered, lots of time for the teams to prepare. 12 days exactly from now, the time starts. The clock starts to tick down. 12 days before we get the start of the PMPL Arabia finals. Before we close things out, I want to give you a bit of a moment to kind of share your thoughts across this whole PMPL Arabia before we get into the finals.
I think there's a lot of other regions that I watch. It's usually always, hey, these three teams or something. They're always just dominating every single lobby, right? And it's not quite as dynamic. This region though, I've definitely seen it's much more balanced, right? Of course, we have GEEKAY, we have those kind of really big outliers, but we've seen like SKYROCKETs, right, coming out of the ashes of their first weekend like a phoenix and able to climb up into 11th place despite not making a single or making the first super weekend. So I really like how much more balanced and dynamic these teams are.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much to yourself, Monica, of course, Highland Wolf, and Andre, our producer, and everybody else involved in making this broadcast possible. Yourself, the viewers, for tuning in, day out, supporting your team, supporting PUBG Mobile Esports. Join us on the 21st of July for the start of the PMPL Arabia Fall Split Finals. Be there, be square, have a lovely evening, and see you all then.
fall, you gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is will you get back up when you fall. You better get up. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I need you to get up. Get up. You witnessing a champ in the making, fueled by your passion for greatness. Yeah, but adversity and bad situations meet us in the middle of the paths that we taking. But it's what you do after that makes men. Will you quit or will you stand up and face it? Tell me, do you have what it takes to swing back when this life asks for the fade? Can you tell me you'll adapt to the change when the punch lands and it puts you flat on your face? After you wake, will you stand up and say, get mad, hit back, lit match to the flames? Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is will you get back up when you fall. You better get up. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I need you to get up. Get up.